What's going on, folks? And thank you for tuning in with me to another edition of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. And of course, I am your host, the man they call Ghost. And once again, folks, I want to thank you very much for tuning in with me. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody this is episode number 616, folks. Episode number 616 for all the folks that are keeping track of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. And before I move on, I want to remind everybody to please spread this show link around like wildfire and let everybody you know across the internet and throughout the world, let them all know that True Capitalist Radio is in effect and in the house, and we are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Texas Time, right here on the official website of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. And I love being independent now. Add this to your bookmarks, type this in your browser, add this to your favorites. The following, ghost.report. All right, it's as simple as that. That's all you got to do, ghost.report. Type that in your browser, add that to your bookmarks and favorites. And by the way, follow me on my only social media representation on the internet right now, and that's on Gab, folks, all right? All right, type that in your browser, gab.ai. If anyone is representing to be me on any other social media network, it's fake and gay, all right? It's fake and gay. Now, with that being said, if you don't have yourself a free Gab account, well, then I don't know what the hell you're doing. Gab, once again, is the last bastion of freedom of speech on the social media platforms today. And once again, once you get your free account, go ahead and follow me under the name Politics Ghost, okay? All one word, no underscores. Politics Ghost is the name to follow on Gab, folks. And I want to say what's going on to everybody in the True Capitalist Radio chat room. How's everybody doing in there? Once again, if you want to be a part of the True Capitalist Radio chat room, it's as simple as this. So listen up. All you've got to do is go to my Gab account right now, Politics Ghost, all one word, no underscores, Politics Ghost, and click the subscribe button for premium content, all right? Click the subscribe button for premium content, and once you do, go ahead and private message me on Gab and let me know your Discord chat name, because that's where the True Capitalist Radio chat room is. And once you do that, I will private message you back with a private invitation to the True Capitalist Radio chat room. It's that simple. Let me go ahead and give some shout-outs to some peeps in here that are already kicking back, chilling, listening to the broadcast very early. What's going on to the Pet Mexican? What's going on to Stagio, the Pepe the Frog, Metaform? We got Man Bear Pig. Jingo Bird is in the house. Hoodie is in the place. Hawk Lake Milk, how you doing, man? Holden Capitalist, Herb Capitalist in the place. Fly on the Wall, Curly McWhirly, Capitalist America, Boat, Aquilian, and I think that's about it, man. Everybody else, cheers, baby. Cheers to everybody out there who's listening in if you're not chilling with me in the True Capitalist Radio chat room. Now that we got that all out of the way, folks, this is September 12th, 2018. We did not do a show yesterday because we traditionally broadcast 3 days a week. We'd like to make it 5 days a week like it used to, but you know, we're not making the old school, you know, $4 or $5 grand a month like we used to. So hence, you know, we got to limit it down. And you know, but regardless of all that, we did not have a show for 9/11 yesterday, and I do want to give some thoughts on 9/11. Now, first and foremost, I want to send my sincerest regards and once again, condolences to those that were affected and lost family members, friends, lost their lives in that unfortunate event. Now, with that being said, I am not going to sit here and be naive to the fact that elements within our government and other governments and other agencies had something to do with the events that we know of as 9/11-2001. Now, I'm not going to make this a room for debate. I'm not going to take this time as an opportunity to sit here and discuss all the theoretical approaches to what exactly happened at this event. But regardless, what we can take from it, folks, is that 9/11/2001 changed everything. It changed everything. It changed the way the American society looked upon itself, looked upon the world. It changed the way that we were going to approach the world. It gave the governing authorities the ability to not only clamp down on us on the domestic, close to authoritarian front, we allowed the governments at the time to send us to wars under false pretenses, linking every single one of these theaters of combat to the 9/11 attacks of 2001. And I think that, folks, this is really where most of us that are still having common sense and haven't, caught the wave that is discombobulating people's brains and just, making people go loco. But those of us that feel like we just woke up and life, it just turned upside down. People just turned upside down. Things got more simplistic. Things got more barbaric, animalistic. Things got a lot more. We're in a completely different place. And I personally believe that 9/11 was a pivotal moment that is literally changed the whole human dynamic on a global scale. And what do I mean by that, folks? Once again, it gave the authority to these governing bodies. The American government, George W. Bush's administration, gave the legitimacy for these folks to use our men in the millennial generation to go out and fight these wars, when in actuality, folks, as we've been discussing, we were fighting ourselves. Osama bin Laden and who we were chasing out there was nothing more than operatives of black operative components of our government, and they were out there chasing no one. And what Osama bin Laden was nothing more than a motivating factor in mobilizing jihadists throughout the international Islamic community and inspiring them to leave their little desert holes in whatever part of the Middle East that they're in and commit jihad against the great Satan, whoever that may have been. Prior to the 9/11 attacks, the great Satan was Russia. But then prior to the 9/11 attacks, folks, we started seeing this Osama bin Laden character pop himself out of nowhere. The USS Cole bombing. The one bombing in the barracks in Africa. The Mogadishu situation. All this was supposedly tied to this character named Osama bin Laden. Now, I want to be honest, prior to the actual attacks on 9/11, there was a guy that actually was able to go out and find Osama bin Laden in the middle of Afghanistan and interview him mere months before the supposed 9/11 attacks. And that journalist, who ended up becoming, from this mere interview with Osama bin Laden, this John Miller, you can look up this interview, it was John Miller. Somehow he was able to tap into the network in Afghanistan that allowed him access to have this one-on-one with Osama bin Laden. And it was that interview that put it and incepted in the minds of everybody in America that there was impending terrorism, or at least expect impending terrorism from this character right here. And take a look at what happened to John Miller's career. The guy who brought us this interview which preluded the 9/11 attack. Take a look at that guy's career. Take a look at all the characters that are involved in the 9/11 attack and see what happened to them. And once again, folks, even if you don't want to believe it's a big conspiratorial situation, at the very least, you can agree with this, that 9/11/2001 was at least a negligent bureaucratic fault meaning that institutions that are meant to save us, protect us from these types of events, completely failed. And what I just don't see and I don't understand is that no one has been held accountable for the negligence, for the lackadaisical approach prior to this incident. There has not been one person that has been put on trial for their negligence in this 9/11/2001 attack. And here we are. I hate to bring it into today's context. We have a special counsel today who has been given the authority by a very corrupt Department of Justice. And this special counsel, which is headed by, believe it or not, the former FBI director that was in charge of the FBI during 9/11/2001, Robert Mueller. And this Robert Mueller and his special counsel have the ability to crawl up everybody from the president, his family, his associates, crawl up their asses with a goddamn microscope and find any little shred of anything. Little shred of anything that he could be prosecuted on. Any people that are a part of the president's inner circle, the family, etc. Now, how can this man, Robert Mueller, who was the director of the FBI at the time of 9/11, be in charge of anything when he himself should be investigated not just on this 9/11 situation, but most of the nefarious things that he did or didn't do during his tenure as FBI director? And listen, I wrote a blog about this on Ghost.Report, linking an interview that he gave to CBS, I'm talking about Robert Mueller, in which he himself admits that he dropped the ball prior to 2001, the 9/11/2001. It was a interview, 2002 interview, a year after the event. He admitted he done goofed. And how come Robert Mueller or anybody else therein that were supposed to protect us from 9/11/2001, how come nobody's been prosecuted? How come nobody has been taken to task? You see, that's the biggest tragedy. Aside from the lives that were lost on 9/11/2001, the biggest tragedy is non-justice for the event that happened. We were supposed to be, and we supposedly still are, the most massive, the biggest military industrial complex ever to grace the fucking earth. And a couple of guys with box cutters that hijacked a few planes was able to bring down the big superpower that was America with all these different layers of military and all these different technological gadgets and satellites and everything that a couple of guys with box cutters and some airplanes were able to do this much damage on the United States, which, of course, enabled our government to blame us and assert things on us like the Patriot Act. Assert things on us that literally went against the Constitution itself. And I'm telling you all right now, that's the biggest tragedy of 9/11, is that no one was prosecuted for their negligence. Because if no one is going to be held accountable for this, then why do bureaucrats feel like they should do their jobs to begin with? I'm serious. Why do bureaucrats need to feel? If no one was held accountable for the negligence of 9/11/2001, then why do bureaucrats feel like they're untouchable? Because they are. And they are until there's enough of us. I'm talking about regular, everyday Americans, Mr. and Mrs. Joe Sixpack. When there's enough of us that are enlightened and awake and we start demanding justice, that's when we'll start getting justice. But until then, these bureaucrats are going to continue to think that they're going to run roughshod on us. And I think that's a humongous tragedy. And I think that right there is what we should take away. 17 years. 17 years after the attack on 9/11/2001, is that no one has been held accountable. No one. So whether or not you believe it was some sort of an inside job, or in my personal opinion, if we wanted to get into detailed debate, analysis about it, I personally believe it was not just the United States or factions of therein, but I also think it was coordinated with many different other agencies. And if you want my opinion, I think it includes the Mossad. It includes, obviously, Saudi intelligence. It also includes NATO, if you want my view. So I don't want to go into it, but like I said, even if you don't believe that, the biggest tragedy of 9/11/2001 is that no one was held accountable. No one. And why? If no one's going to be held accountable, then these assholes that are supposedly bureaucrats that are meant to protect us in the FBI and the DOJ, it's no wonder why they think they can become so corrupt. It's no wonder why they think they can do the things that they can do. Because if no one was held accountable for at least negligence after 9/11/2001, they're never going to be prosecuted for anything. So keep that in mind, folks. After 17 years, let's just keep that in mind, that no one was held accountable for that horrific attack. And lest we forget, folks, it's not just the attack. I mean, there was a lot of things that were stored in there that just miraculously disappeared. Like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of silver and gold that were hidden or in vaults at the World Trade Center that just magically disappeared. So, very, very interesting stuff, folks. And I want to say once again, my deepest condolences and regards go to the families that lost lives there. But I think even they realize, in my personal opinion, deep down, that the government is not entirely honest on what the hell really happened that day. And it's fucking sad. And we still have people dying that were out there busting their ass, trying to get people out of that debris. I'm talking regular people. I mean, I hear that there's some 10,000 that they at least accounted for. 10,000 related illnesses and deaths related to 9/11 outside the framework of the people that were in close contact. This includes first responders, dogs, I mean, you name it. And that's why when you had the Department of, any government bureaucrat that was out there, with the exception of the first responders, the firemen, the people that came in from out of state, the people that were a part of the feds, you notice the feds were all covered up. All their faces were all covered up. They made sure that they were in hazmat suits. Meanwhile, the guys that were out there pulling bodies out of the damn debris were just out there exposed, and these are the guys that are getting afflicted with ailments. It's just an unbelievable event, folks. And I think that the whole thing is fucking evil. And I think it's a tragedy. And I think if people really knew what the hell happened that day, you would be sick to your stomach. And not only would you be sick to your stomach, you'd be shocked that our world actually operates in this evil capacity. With that being said, I'm going to move on to another subject before we get to the cryptocurrency and the stock coverage of today. I want to talk a little bit about internet fame. Now, the reason I'm going to talk about this, folks, is because here recently I've been reading a lot of different reports of Twitch streamers and YouTubers having to go through very big extremes as it relates to their communities, quote unquote. I read of a Twitch streamer that was being stalked by one of their former mods of their chat rooms. I've read of obviously the proverbial doxing and sending pizzas to the house and swatting to the house. And it's getting this bad where the fandom and the idea of fandom via internet is starting to put those that want to be creative or those that want to put content on the internet, it's jeopardizing the expansion of that because we have so many sick people. And, I don't know if all of them are all sick. I just think that maybe the internet makes people a little sick because it's very easy to be somebody else on the internet without you being accountable for what it is that you do on the internet. But seriously, folks, I read an article in which some Twitch streamer was being stalked by a mod. You know, a mod is somebody that you make as a admin or somebody of some kind of power in your chat room. And, you know, from my personal experience, I'm going to be completely honest with you, every time I made somebody a mod, it went so much into their head that they just couldn't live without that power. And I hate to say that these stories that I'm reading kind of correlate with what I'm doing here, but it does to a certain extent. It does because people that, you know, you think that are close, you're on the internets, you're doing your thing. My heart's racing right now because I just don't even want to talk about this. I want to be honest with you. I don't want to talk about this because it's sad that people that want to do something independently on the internets, I don't know if it's the internet or what, but it inspires the worst out of people. Even when the people that are creating the content are attempting to facilitate something that's a little positive or something that is tongue-in-cheek. And I think it's sad that content creators have to put up with this kind of crap. Now, the reason I come up with this again, the reason I bring this up is because there's a big-time Twitch streamer, and I'm going to bring up his name because I think everybody pretty much, I guess in the gaming world, knows who he is. But I'm talking about Dr. Disrespect. Dr. Disrespect is a guy who is very popular in the Twitch community. And, you know, look, I'm not a big into his content, but I understand his gig. You know, he's kind of this caricature. You know, he puts on a mullet, he puts on some sunglasses, I guess he's kind of good at video games, and he uses the video gaming streaming as a means of creating this character that he calls himself, Dr. Disrespect, you know. And it's not my cup of tea. I don't have anything against Dr. Disrespect, but I've viewed his content. It's very tongue-in-cheek. I mean, everybody knows that the guy's in character. Everybody knows that, you know, he's a fairly decent gamer. The guy makes pretty good money. I mean, from what I understand, Dr. Disrespect makes somewhere in the range of $150,000 to $200,000 a week doing what he's doing, you know? But the reason I bring up Dr. Disrespect is because here for the past couple of months they have been trying to, and when I mean they, I'm talking about individuals that probably were very close to him, probably not, probably people that were gaming with him, probably not, whatever it was. Here recently there's been obviously a group of trolls that have been trying to, and yeah, he's not autistic, believe it or not, He's a complete act. Dr. Disrespect, you can tell this guy, you know, he's got a family, he's, you know, he's completely legit, he's got his own personality outside the whatever he's portraying on his Twitch stream, okay? But whoever it was, he had somebody swat him here about a month ago. Meaning that, you know, somebody knows where he lives, sent the cops out to their house. And for you folks that don't know what swatting is, it's this idea in which somebody spoofs your number and your address, calls your local PD and says that you just killed somebody, you're going to kill yourself, causing a very instantaneous and very SWAT-like reaction by the PD headed towards your house. And typically they knock down your door, they have a chopper over your house. It's a big ordeal, and, you know, it's all started in the gaming community. The whole swatting incidents and all that stuff, it all started in the gaming community. Now, since, you know, he's been swatted, he's been kind of shaking it off, he didn't acknowledge it. You know, you don't want to acknowledge these things when people do them, I would imagine. It's gone from swatting to sending him things to now, folks, this past weekend, or actually the past couple of days, I should say. Dr. Disrespect has had shots taken out of his window. People have actually driven by his house and have shot his windows. And I think to myself, good God, man. I mean, this is just going out of proportion. You know, this obsession of fandom or this obsession of trying to mess with somebody has just gone way out of proportion here. Someone shot this guy's window in the midst of him streaming. Now, I don't know if they were trying to scare or troll. I mean, but this is the extent in which we are going as it pertains to all this trolling, if you will. It's not only gotten as far to where now we're starting to see laws against trolling. I mean, just case in point, I don't mean to get off the subject, but in the EU, the European Union, they just implemented some kind of copyright law that's going to make it completely illegal for people to meme. Because most of the time when people meme something, they're usually memeing an image that they don't own. But because the EU is going to assert certain copyright laws, if they find out that a certain meme is traced back to you and you're a European Union citizen, yeah, you can be taken to jail now, and you can do time for trolling. Okay? But aside from that, it's gone from that, from memeing, from, sending pizzas to people's houses, to, sending the SWAT over. Now people are legitimately going to someone's house and taking shots at people's windows while they are streaming. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, that kind of freaks me out because, I mean, if you want my opinion, I mean, somebody that goes to that extreme, to go and shoot someone's window, it's not trolling at that point, that's personal. And I've been reading a lot of people in the Twitch communities and the YouTube real stream communities that are literally being stalked, and the people that are committing the most trolling element on their shows and on their lives are the people that are supposed to be close to them. These people that they spend hours with on chat room. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these people that you were supposed to trust. And that's really sad. I think it's really sad, and if you want my personal opinion, I mean, I don't think he needs it, but my heart goes out to Dr. Disrespect. I don't really dig what you do. I mean, I just, I'm not hating on you. But, man, you're just a content creator. You're doing your thing. People watch you. And, because people are watching you, you're making lots of money. There's a lot of people donating to you, a lot of people sponsoring you, etc. And, just to have a shot taken at your window is just unbelievable. Now, I want to be completely honest. That has me thinking about certain people that were within my little inner circle here recently that have become obsessed. Now, I haven't been talking about, all the people that have been leaving the inner circle, that we aired out on this broadcast, but they have since been somewhat of what I've been reading about these Twitch streamers. They become obsessed. They're beginning to stalk. They're stalking me online. They're stalking me from chat room to chat room. They're making all kinds of threats. Now, in my personal opinion, I mean, I'm at odds here because I know who these people are. I know who these people are. I mean, and here they are. They're cyber stalking. They're threatening. Now, I'm not one who goes and calls the cops and does all that type of thing because, I mean, we don't need the cops here. But I'm starting to think to myself, maybe since this group that is cyber stalking me and trying to, cyber stalk people that listen to the broadcast and trying to harass people, going into other chat rooms, maybe I should release the information of these people out of the... and look, this is why I'm suggesting this. I'm not even sure if I'm going to do this, but because people are shooting at people's windows, because people are going to this extreme, I just want to make sure that if something happens to me, that these people are prime suspects at this point. Because, that's all I can suggest. I mean, because these people, you would think, that left the inner circle would have been like, oh, you know what, Ghost, you suck, man. You suck. You know what, dude, I'm making so much money. I'm leaving your show. I'm not listening to it. I'm going out and I'm spending it on bitches, dude. They're not doing it. So I'm considering that. I'm not even kidding around. I'm considering releasing the information of people that have made threats, that are cyber stalking me, and that are doing all kinds of nefarious activities to me, because I feel that it's in my best interest to do so, considering that I am being cyber stalked to the capacity that I am being. And look, I'm just taking things into my own precaution here. I mean, take a look at what happened to poor Dr. Disrespect, for Christ's sake. I mean, that's why my heart was pumping so fast, because I can't believe that it's taking, the obsession of someone, a show, a character, whatever, the obsession will drive people to the point in which they'll go and shoot out somebody's windows. Man. I'm seriously considering it, folks. And you idiots that have been stalking me, you know who the fuck you are. And you know what? You better hope that I don't. Let's just put it that way, you stupid pieces of fucking low-grade trash. But if I do it, I'm doing it because I'm protecting myself. All right? I'm doing it because I'm protecting myself. You people are mentally ill. You've got problems. You've got screws loose. And people across the internet need to know who the hell you are, so they can protect themselves. Anyway, let me move on, for Christ's sake. All right, let's get to some cryptocurrency. I didn't mean to get off too much on that tirade about internet fandom, man. But good God, I mean, this is what the internet is comprised of, man. I mean, this is what it is. I mean, these people are sick. They're freak shows. 1 minute they're your friends, the next minute they want to slice your throat. They want to put fucking bullets in your house. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. But hey, I'm thinking about doing it, and we'll see what happens. All right, we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's talk some cryptocurrency, because I know people out here are like, Ghost, what the hell's going on, man? They're talking about .com bubble busts and shit on the mainstream media business news. Of course they are. I mean, they're the ones. What have I told you in the last broadcast on Monday? This is what they're doing. They're trying to lower the cryptocurrency market, and they're trying to go in and grab as much as they can during these lull points. They know this market is fucking fickle. They know this market is fickle. They know this market doesn't necessarily respond to negative percentage decreases, and how they respond is selling off very impulsively, man. I mean, these Wall Street guys, believe me, are literally manipulating this market. And I hate how I'm reading articles that this is comparable to the .com bust. Folks, the .com bust, people lost trillions of dollars. Okay? People lost trillions of dollars. The market capitalization of crypto at its highest, at its goddamn highest, which was in February, okay? It was at $800 billion cumulative market cap for the cryptocurrency markets. Not even a trillion. The .com bust, people lost trillions of dollars, man. I mean, you cannot compare the two. Secondly, these aren't equities. This is not stock. This is currency. This is an alternative to fiat in many cases. And this is why we're seeing this kind of slow transition from fiat currency into digital currency, Now, let me give you some news here, what's really kind of also been keeping the market down as of late. We talked about the SEC this past Monday, I should say, in which they prohibited the so-called American investing in financial instruments that were on a certain market in the NASDAQ that was out of Stockholm that people interpreted as an ETF. And because people interpreted it as an ETF, the SEC prohibited American investors from investing in these two given financial instruments. Well, folks, I want to be honest with you here. The SEC is starting to crack down on a lot. All right. I don't know if y'all been hearing about this, but they have just unveiled Operation Crypto Sweep. And this is what the market is reacting to, okay? They're reacting to a little bit of this contraction is the reaction to the recent SEC charges against an unregistered crypto hedge fund and an unregistered ICO, quote, superstore. And they're cracking down on these entities, and that's another thing that's making the market a little funny in the pants. Now, the two entities that have been targeted by the SEC, one of them is called Crypto Asset Management LP, or CAM, C-A-M for short. It marketed itself as the, quote, first regulated crypto asset fund in the United States, which, of course, was an absolute lie, but that's how they sold itself. They raised $3.6 million in an unregistered offering that they claimed was actually registered with the SEC. And by doing this and then investing over 40% of the raised funds in crypto assets, they broke multiple SEC regulations. And as a result, the SEC has, pretty much not only sent a cease and desist, but I believe that they're going to take even further action, if I'm not mistaken, raiding, taking documents, etc. Now, the second entity that has been taken down by the SEC is the ICO token store called TokenLot. TokenLot is the first case of its kind, charging unregistered brokers/dealers for selling digital tokens after the DAO report in 2017, advising dealers and investors that digital securities must be federally compliant. All right, so what that means is ICOs, if you're going to raise money in a initial coin offering, that's what ICO stands for. You are basically replicating a federally regulated instrument that is traditionally called in the equities market IPOs, which is called initial public offering, which is the first day a stock is traded on the stock exchange, whether it's NASDAQ, S&P, or Dow Jones Industrial. Now, because many of these people in the cryptocurrency arena have somewhat adapted some of these, I would say, some of the language that kind of describes IPOs, but instead made it an ICO. This has allowed the SEC to federally regulate these types of entities. Both entities here that have been raided and have been shut down by the SEC, they're federally regulated. For instance, if we wanted to start a hedge fund, meaning we, whoever the hell, me and you, we start a hedge fund and people give us money so that we can take that money, trade it on the stock exchange, and make profits on that money. That's a hedge fund. And to be a hedge fund, you have to be compliant with the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, and other federal governing agencies. Same thing goes for anyone who wants to trade their company on the stock market. If you're a corporation that wants to sell shares of your corporation to the public, you have to be federally compliant. That's why if you wanted to ever do such a thing, you have to go through the bigwigs. You have to go through the Goldman Sachs. You got to go through JP Morgan. You got to go with the fucking Bank of America. You got to go through the big banks so you can initiate an IPO of your company. Why? Because what have I always told you about regulation, folks? Regulation isn't there to protect you. It's there to protect the entities that are being regulated. So right now, the SEC, what it seems like to me from these two takedowns, is they're going after anyone who is going to label their cryptocurrency in any kind of interpreted language that could be interpreted by any naive investor similar to stock. So a crypto asset fund or a crypto hedge fund, people can interpret that as a legitimate SEC regulated entity, which all hedge funds are, which it isn't. So because they use crypto hedge fund and the term hedge fund, it went under federal compliance. And not to mention, let's say you're not a hedge fund, you just call yourself an investment group or some crap, and let's say you raise money in the same capacity. Let's say, you got a neighborhood of people. You got a neighborhood of people and you're like, hey, I'm going to raise money. You know what we're going to do? We're all going to raise money and we're going to invest it in whatever, the stock market or cryptocurrency. We're all going to make profits and we're going to distribute it evenly. Even doing that, believe it or not, it's federally regulated. Because if you raise funds from other people and use those funds to invest in the stocks or commodities or cryptocurrency, then you have to go through the SEC regulations. So this is what this means in my view. And I think that that's why, you're having the SEC clamping down in their latest, latest operation called Operation Crypto Sweep. But I think that people shouldn't worry, especially the average everyday investor, so long as you hoard your crypto or you're just pattern or swing trading in one of these exchanges, whether it's because if you're trading on an exchange in America, more than likely they're regulated by the SEC. Because right now the SEC is allowing these cryptocurrency exchanges like Poloniex and Coinbase. I mean, they're allowing them to enter into the regulatory idea of being regulated by the SEC, etc. So these are somewhat okay. The ones out of the country, even though they're nice, they got good trading platforms, be careful is all I got to say. Be careful with those, because we're getting down to a point now where, places we used to get cryptocurrency from are now acting like a bunch of crypto banksters. Case in point, Changelly, folks. Remember Changelly? Well, Changelly now will hold your buying, will hold your crypto if they deem it, quote, suspicious, whatever the fuck that means, So they can hold your crypto if they deem it suspicious on Changelly, just based on a trade or based on like a group of trades. So be careful. Let me go ahead and get some water here. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the cryptocurrency market right now. We've got a market capitalization of cryptocurrency at $192 billion market cap. Now, that's pretty good because I saw it as low as last night for, $187 billion? So it seems to me that we're somewhat coming back from the bottom here. But lest we forget, folks, what it comes down to is not just Wall Street basically tempering this market with their own manipulation, but a lot of people, and I hate to say this, folks, are going after these ICOs and these dumb shit coins, and that's where a lot of the market capitalization is going. They have this idea that if they buy some kind of a shitcoin ICO and hold it, that it'll miraculously be like $20,000 like Bitcoin was. It's a very naive way of interpreting the market, and if you take a look at a lot of these really quick double-digit increasers out here, they're all a bunch of shitcoins. It's all hype. It's all bullshit. So in my opinion, hopefully with the Operation Crypto Sweep that's happening with the SEC, hopefully this puts a damper on ICOs and it creates the great shitcoin shakeout. Because that's what we need, folks. We need the great shitcoin shakeout so that the coins that are serious, the coins that want to be here for more than 5-10 years in the market of not just cryptocurrency but blockchain technology, we want to deal with these folks and have the market capitalization go with them. Not these dumbass shitcoins that are going to mean nothing, that are going to be worth nothing, that have nothing. So with that being said, let's continue and let's talk a little crypto here. Bitcoin. Now, even though we've seen some major decreases in most cryptocurrencies across the board, Bitcoin has stayed steady in the $6,300 range, which has been very interesting. Very, very interesting. So I'm not too sure what that signifies. I don't know if that signifies people are buying more Bitcoin because they're hearing the business media saying that, oh man, Bitcoin is at a low and cryptocurrency is at a low, and people are buying. Because if you're going to buy cryptocurrency, obviously if you're a layman, if you're somebody that doesn't know cryptocurrency, the first thing you're going to buy is Bitcoin, and you're probably either going to buy it at they have cryptocurrency Bitcoin ATMs all over the country, so I'm assuming that'd probably be one of the first places you'd get it. So I'm not sure if that is what's keeping it leveled or what it is. But it's a very interesting thing to observe. I just wanted to bring that up to everybody's attention, because I've always said that here within the near future we should see Bitcoin take one more rise, and my price point is somewhere in the range of 12 to 15,000. I don't think it's going to go higher than that, but if by some chance it goes over 15,000 and reaches 20, I think the sky's the limit after that. I think that we're in full-fledged, speculation mode, and people are high on drugs at that point. But in my opinion, I don't think it's going to get that high. I think we're going to see one more bump, 12 to 15,000 here. And we're just waiting for that at this point in time. We've got a real manipulated market here with these Wall Street guys. And that's why I keep telling everybody out there who's listening, man, even if you're not into pattern or swing trading this stuff, just buy and hold this son of a bitch. I mean, I keep telling people, these impulsive jerks that want, the kind of gains that they saw in 2017, that's not how traditional markets work. Lest we forget that the people that really gained a lot of money during the 2017, the beginning of 2018 increase were the dorks and neckbeards that were out there mining the shit when it was at, 70 cents. Remember that, folks. I mean, it's taken from 2010 to 2016 to 2017 for those huge increases that everybody saw in Bitcoin to happen. I mean, there was a big lull point prior to that, which people like to forget about. As a matter of fact, some people thought that Bitcoin was going to be so useless that they threw out their fucking computer. I'm not even joking. You can probably find this article. Some idiot in Europe, he threw out his computer that had 35,000 or 40,000 Bitcoin. He threw it out because he figured that Bitcoin wasn't going to be worth a shit or whatever he thought. He didn't really think much of it. Threw it out. When Bitcoin was at 15, 16, 17, 20,000, this son of a bitch was actually going into the goddamn landfill, trying to dig the landfill for himself, trying to find it. And you see, that serves that asshole right, because what have I always told everybody that's listening, folks? Long-term investment reigns supreme. Long-term investment reigns supreme, man. That's what I keep telling you. I don't even want to talk about my Amazon.com story, for Christ's sake. I'm just telling you. For those that don't know, I bought Amazon.com back in the 90s for fucking $7 or something, right? And I hate telling this story because that whole shitload of fucking Amazon.com. And let me tell you something about Amazon.com before I get to the story, okay? Amazon.com in the 90s had a business model that had to have every investor understand that Amazon.com wasn't going to be profitable for 10 fucking years. So, as Amazon.com was being traded in the 90s, you were speculating whether or not Jeff Bezos and Amazon would be profitable after 10 years. And, you know, given the fact that I sold the damn stock off before the damn .com bust, and, you know, there was a lot of reasons. I profited pretty generously. I bought it at 7. I think I bought it at 7 in 1997, I think, 96, 97. I sold it off in 98. And when I sold it off in 98, it was like at, I think, $80 or some $70. And I thought that yeah, Ghost, yeah, baby. Folks, if I would have kept that fucking Amazon.com stock, and I had hundreds of it, man, I would be a fucking millionaire. I'm not even joking. I'm talking like tens of millions of dollars. So, once again, folks, okay, fucking long-term investment reigns supreme. I'm just saying, okay? If I would have kept that fucking $7 stock of Amazon and kept it as one of my long-term investments, if I'd have just kept it in there, if I'd have kept the fucking hundreds that I had in there, folks, right now, I'd be worth so much. I wouldn't be here. I'd probably be owning my own island somewhere off the coast of fucking Florida, or the coast of Belize, or the in Hawaii. I'd be making so much money. But you see, I can't cry over that shit. All right? I can't cry over that shit. You live and learn. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm telling you people. Long-term investment reigns supreme. That's why Warren Buffett is a billionaire exclusively on investing in stocks for over 10 years. I'm just planting seeds, man. I'm just trying to let y'all know that, don't be impulsive. Don't be impatient. Anyway, let's get to Bitcoin here, right? BTC, current market cap is $109 billion. Circulating supply is 17.2 million for BTC. In the past 24 hours, Bitcoin has gone up 0.42%. Current price for Bitcoin is $6,351.71 per Bitcoin. All right? Once again, it's been over 6.3 throughout the whole contraction, which has been very interesting. Now, Ethereum, on the other hand, I don't know what the hell is going to happen to Ethereum, man. I don't know what the hell's happened to Ethereum, but I think people are seeing a bottom at this point. It could be a little preliminary, but I think people are seeing a bottom at this point. We didn't even know if Ethereum was going to survive. Let's take a look at Ethereum. ETH, current market capitalization is $19 billion market cap. The circulating supply is 101 million in circulation. In the past 24 hours, Ethereum has gone up 1.52%. The current price for Ethereum, folks, after all these contractions, $187.50 per ETH. Ouch. Let's continue on. Bitcoin Cash, another victim of the contraction. BCH, Bitcoin Cash, market capitalization is $7.6 billion market cap. The circulating supply is 17.3 million. In circulation, in the past 24 hours, Bitcoin Cash has gone down 0.25%. Current price for Bitcoin Cash is $438.49 per Bitcoin Cash. Let's continue. Litecoin. I don't know what the hell's going on with Litecoin, folks, but I keep covering it because it's still one of the originals. It's an OG in the blockchain, but, it's got a dumbass creator in Charlie Lee that he doesn't know whether he's coming or going. He doesn't know whether he likes egg rolls or Wagyu beef. Anyway, we got Litecoin, LTC, current market capitalization is $3 billion market cap. The circulating supply for LTC is 58 million in circulation. In the past 24 hours, Litecoin has gone up 0.74%. Current price for Litecoin, $52.62 per Litecoin. Let's get to Monero, folks. Monero, even though we saw contractions, did not go below $100. So that's why I keep saying Monero, we might be seeing a bump up on this one. Why? Because it's being accepted in the dark web. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but because it's being used in the dark web, there's going to be a demand for it, hence the increase in value. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think that's why we're seeing it sustain as at about $100 here. Let's take a look at Monero, XMR. Current market capitalization is $1.7 billion market cap. The circulating supply for Monero is 16.4 million in circulation. In the past 24 hours, Monero has gone up 0.47%. Current price for Monero is $106.09 per Monero. Let's take a look at Dash, folks. DASH. We saw a little bit of decreases in Dash because people are taking their profits, especially when you see a contracting market. But once again, what's making Dash so popular, or so I should say valuable, is the fact that we are seeing massive acceptance of Dash on a global scale. And because we're seeing Dash accepted, that's obviously going to make it valuable. And as a matter of fact, it's actually very, very much accepted in South America. So very, very interesting here what's happening with Dash. I've always said Dash is a very, very good opportunity, whether it's for investing or if you're going to get yourself a decent, if you're going to get yourself a decent mining contract, man. And the reason I'm pushing the Genesis-mining.com contracts is because I want people to profit like those that purchased them back when they were available in April, May, and June of 2017. If you purchased one when I purchased one, folks, you have made like 6 or 7 times your money at this point. I'm not even kidding around. So, once again, folks, I want to let everybody know this is a very lucrative opportunity for folks that are looking for a mining contract. What it is that you're technically leasing out hardware with Genesis-mining.com. And that hardware is going to specifically mine whatever contract you enter into specifically for you. And what it does, it gives you daily deposits in your digital wallet as your hardware mines for you. Now, I know they have Bitcoin 5-year contracts, which is the first of its kind that I've seen, but they do have Dash 2-year contracts, which is something that I would strongly advise people to look into. The Monero contracts, which I think are sold out, they're another thing I would look into. If there's any Zcash, another thing I would look into. These are the coins, in my opinion, right now are hot. They're not just hot, they are going to be hot in the future. And that's why I'm advising anybody, especially the Dash contract. Take a look, Genesis-mining.com. And you've got to have the discount code. Come on, you got to get the discount code. Discount code, if you happen to get a mining contract, folks, and they're selling out like hotcakes, believe me, WEA296. All right, WEA296 is the... So once again, I hope that you guys take advantage of that. Now that we got that out of the way, let's take a look at Dash. Dash right now, it's somewhat of a victim of the cryptocurrency contraction, but not much. Current market cap is $1.5 billion market capitalization. The circulating supply for Dash is 8.3 million in circulation. Nice low circulation, if I don't say so myself. In the past 24 hours, Dash has gone down 0.46%. Current price for Dash H, current price $186.23 per Dash. Let's get to Ethereum Classic, folks. ETC is the symbol. The market capitalization for ETC is $1.1 billion market cap. The circulating supply is 104 million in circulation. In the past 24 hours, Ethereum Classic has gone down 3.67%. Current price for Ethereum Classic, $10.89. And one thing I do want to tell some you people out there that are actual physical miners, like you actually have your own hardware in which you mine, if you're mining Zcash and are finding that your mining rewards are a little less, or I should say a lot less, now that the Zcash organization has allowed ASIC mining. There's a guy in the inner circle, props to IceCat, by the way, who has taken his rigs that were initially mining Zcash before the ASIC acceptance, and is now profiting generously and mining generous amounts of Ethereum Classic, which he in turn trades them for whatever he wishes. So once again, just a heads up, just trying to let people know what's going on. I'm trying to plant capitalist seeds here, baby. That's what I'm trying to do. Anyway, we are now in the second hour of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast, and of course, I am your host, the man they call Ghost. And once again, folks, I want to thank you very much for tuning in with me. Before we move on, I want to remind everybody to please spread this show link around like wildfire, right? All right? And let everybody you know across the internet and throughout the world, let everybody you know that True Capitalist Radio is in effect and in the house. And we are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's Texas time, of course. Right here on the official website of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. And once again, I love being independent now. Add this to your bookmarks. Add this to your favorites. The following, all right? Ghost.report. All right? It's as simple as that. Ghost.report. Add that to your bookmarks. Add that to your favorites, etc. And by the way, if you have not done so, get yourself a free account on Gab, the last bastion of freedom of speech in social media today, and follow me on there. I mean, give me a break. It's my only social media representation on the internets, baby. Anyone trying to claim to be me on any other social media is fake and gay. All right? Fake and gay. So once again, follow me on Gab under the name Politics Ghost. All right? All one word, no underscores. Politics Ghost is the name to follow, baby. All right? Woo! And by the way, what's going on to the True Capitalist Radio chat room? I see a lot of people in there. I want to remind everybody, if you want to be a part of the True Capitalist Radio chat room, all you've got to do is the following. Go to my damn Gab account, Politics Ghost, all one word, no underscores, and click the subscribe button for premium content. All right, baby? Click the subscribe button for premium content, and once you do, private message me on Gab and let me know your Discord chat name, and I will give you a private invitation in private message on Gab. I will send you a private invitation to the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. Or to the chat room, I should say. It's that simple, baby, all right? It's that simple. And by the way, we're going to be sending out these goddamn newsletters to folks here in the latter part of September. All right, we're gonna send them in the latter part of September. That's right, we're gonna send physical newsletters to folks that are subscribed to the True Capitalist Radio chat room, man. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. And before I move on, let me give some shout-outs to some peeps here in the chat room, man. What's going on to everybody in the True Capitalist Radio chat room, man? I really appreciate you chilling, listening with me, hanging out with me. What's going on to Aesthetic? What's going on to Andrew Smith, Aquilian, Bash, Birds of Prey, Boat, Curly McWhirly, what's up? Cyber Necro in the house. Fly on the Wall, Great Gains, Hans Uberlander, Herb Capitalist in the house, Holden Capitalist. We've got Hoodie in the place. What up, man? We got Man Bear Pig in the house, Metaform in the place, Pepe the Frog in the house. We got Prince in the place. We've got Stagio in the house, and of course the Pet Mexican. What's going on to everybody who's in the True Capitalist Radio chat room, man? Cheers, baby. Cheers. Let me go ahead and get some more water, for Christ's sake. Cheers, baby. Cheers, all right? Anyway, now that we got that all out of the way, let's finish with the financial portion of the broadcast, and then we're going to go ahead and move on with the nitty-gritty. We got a lot of things to talk about, to be honest with you. So let's go ahead and try to narrow this down here. We've got Zcash, folks, ZEC. All right, that's the next cryptocurrency we're covering today. Zcash right now is at $537 million market capitalization. The circulating supply is 4.7 million in circulation. In the past 24 hours, Zcash has gone down a little bit, 0.12% decrease. Current price for Zcash is $112.34 per Zcash. All right, let's continue going. We've got Quantum, folks. Now, I want to be completely honest right here. We're finally starting to see some increases in Quantum, and I think that we have seen the bottoms of bottoms on the goddamn QTUM. Now, I want to remind everybody there are only 5 days left of the QTUM Global Hackathon with over 1,000 registrations, and we're going to see what these people and these developers have built in relation to the x86 smart contract technology of QTUM. And once we start seeing an element of the decentralized applications after the hackathon, hopefully we finally see the release of the x86 virtual machine itself. So once again, QTUM market capitalization is $306 million market cap. The circulating supply is 88 million in circulation. In the past 24 hours, QTUM has gone up 1.71% increase. Current price for Quantum, $3.45, folks. And let me tell you, I've been gobbling them up. I'm in the like several thousand club at this point. And to be honest, really what's very profitable on it is the staking. I mean, the more you own, the more stake that you get on a frequent basis. So you can't beat that, man. You cannot beat it. Anyway, let me end with one last cryptocurrency here. 42 coin, folks. Let's listen to 42 coin here. What do I tell you, folks? It is a nice coin because it's low circulation. It's a place to go to during contractions. It's a long-term investment. And occasionally you get yourself some pretty decent bounces on the short and pattern trading end, right? Let's take a look at 42 coin right now. All right, current market capitalization for 42 coin is $1 million. And the current circulating supply for 42 coin is 42 coins. In the past 24 hours, 42 coin has gone up 17.44%. That's right, 17.44% increase. Current price for 42 coin is $25,697.10 per 42 coin. And that concludes the cryptocurrency portion of the financial hour here. Let's go ahead and head right into stocks, because we got some things to talk about up in here. Now, Snap, believe it or not, you know, Snapchat, I believe. Snapchat, it's kind of weighed tech down. Tech has been going pretty high as of late. Tech has been down based upon those types of services that haven't come to fruition. But as for the rest of the market, it was a pretty much decent day. I think people, if you want my opinion, I don't want to sound harsh, but if we are going to see any kind of massive situation happen in the Hurricane Florence natural disaster, you know as well as I, there's going to need materials, there's going to need machines. So I'm sure there's a lot of people in the investment community, especially in the stock market, positioning themselves for some easy liquid, because I mean, you have to put this into consideration. I mean, if there is massive destruction going on in the Florence area, we're going to talk about this here in a minute, then that means there's going to be machines, there's going to be cement, there's going to need lumber, there's going to be, if it's cold, there's probably going to need natural gas to power or heating oil. There's probably a lot of things that you could factor in. And if you can find companies that provide solutions for these problems, because, and if they're American company, because lest we forget, that's what Donald Trump wants to use government money on. He wants American companies doing this. These are the things that I would be looking at this point in time, folks. I'm trying to give you all a heads up, especially you stock investors out here. I hope y'all are listening. All right, just sit down, think for a second. All right, the hurricane hasn't hit just yet. Think about it. Tomorrow's a trading day. Figure out what company is probably going to generously profit for cleaning up and rebuilding the areas that are going to be hit. And hence, you'll be giving yourself a little bit of profit yourself. That's how you think of it, baby. This is capitalism. All right? I'm just trying to plant seeds. You always have to be thinking. See, that's the problem. Capitalists that are badass, they never stop thinking. And maybe that's to their disadvantage because their brains never, go to sleep. They're never, lackadaisical. They're never daydreaming about dumb shit and, whatever. But that's how you have to be if you're going to be a successful capitalist, all right? Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial while we're at it, all right? Dow Jones Industrial right now, it's up 27.86 points, a percentage increase of 0.11%, closing out the Dow Jones Industrial at 25,998.92 points for the Dow Jones Industrial. We've got the S&P a little flat, but on the positive side today, the S&P is up 1.03 points, a percentage increase of 0.04%, closing out the S&P at 2,888.92 points for the S&P 500. We've got the NASDAQ, once again, tech kind of the one on the negative side today. NASDAQ is down 18.24 points, a percentage decrease of 0.23%, closing out the NASDAQ at 7,954.23 points for the NASDAQ composite. Now that we gotten the stocks out of the way, folks, once again, keep in mind what I told you about these stocks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who benefits and who's going to get those contracts to rebuild whatever is destroyed during this natural disaster. I'm just trying to plant capitalist seeds, baby. Anyway, let's get to commodities. Energy, believe it or not, for the past couple of days, it's been going up, but today it is somewhat on the negative side. WTI sweet crude is down 17 cents right now, a percentage decrease of 0.24%, closing out WTI at $70.20 per barrel of WTI sweet crude. We've got Brent crude also down today, folks, 12 cents, a percentage decrease of 0.15%. Current price for Brent crude is $79.62 per barrel of Brent crude oil. We've got gasoline down today, folks, 0.06%. Natural gas is down 0.21%, and heating oil is up 0.05%. Now, once again, folks, here's another place to make a little bit of liquid. For those of you trading stocks, I would strongly advise you to take a look at any ETF that coincides with the increase of heating oil, because I'm telling you, it's always an increase during this time. I mean, it's easy money. Heating oil is easy money because every year it's going to get cold. The cold parts of America are always going to need heating oil, and especially according to all farmers' almanacs, it's supposed to be a very, very cold winter. So does that mean that heating oil is going to be even more scarce this year than it was last year? I mean, these are the questions that you've got to ask, and then you got to develop some kind of an investment strategy that'll enable you to make the right decisions in that context. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, let's continue going. We got precious metals. Let's get to the metals, shall we? The metals! Let's get to the metals, all right? Gold is up $1.40, a percentage increase of 0.12%, closing out gold at $1,212.30 per troy ounce of gold. We've got silver. It is up 2 cents, a percentage increase of 0.12%, closing out silver at $14.31 per troy ounce of silver. Copper is also up 0.32%. We've got platinum also up 0.16%. Let's go ahead and get to agriculture, shall we? Let's get to the grains. All right, corn is up 0.71%. Wheat is up 0.54%. Oats is up 0.41%. Rough rice is up 0.19%. Soybean is down 0.12%. Soybean oil is unchanged for the day. And canola is down 0.38%. Let's go ahead and get to the soft, shall we? Cocoa, once again, the base for chocolate, it is up, 1.80%. Almost 2%. Once again, we've got cases of Ebola, Ebola in Africa, Ebola. Look it up. I'm telling you, I think that's a contributing factor of why we're seeing cocoa go up. Let's go take a look at coffee. Coffee is up 1.64%. Sugar is also up, folks, 2.75%. We've got orange juice down 2.13%. We've got cotton down 0.30%. Lumber is taking one on the teeth for some reason today. Lumber is down 2.25%. Rubber is up 1.37%. And ethanol is down 2.17%. Let's go ahead and get to the livestock. We've got live cattle. It is up, folks, 1.40%. How convenient. We're starting to see some increases on this livestock right before the holidays. We've got cattle feeder. It is also up 1.69%. And lean hog continues to go up and up and up and up. Lean hog is up once again, 2.82% increase on the day. Good God! And that, my friends, is the markets for your ass, all right? Let me go ahead and take a swig of this water, and we're going to get to the rest of the broadcast because we got a lot of things to discuss this evening, and I hope that you could bear with me because I got a lot of production notes, as you can hear. I got a lot of production notes, so let's just go ahead and get right down to the nitty-gritty. Since we've already finished talking a little bit about finance, let's talk a little bit about the President of the United States, the man who put his own life, his own family, his own wealth on the line for America, the modern-day George Washington himself. I'm talking about Donald Trump. Let's talk a little bit about the President. Now, as the President bobs and weaves fake news and bullshit FBI informant books and backstabbing inner circle members of his cabinet and his current administration, Trump continues to win, baby, all right? Even amidst all the fake news, even amidst the deep state soft coup that these assholes are attempting with this full-on onslaught of absolute garbage, Trump continues to win. Now, how is he winning, baby? He's continuing to win with this beautiful capitalist economy that any capitalist could have created had they had the position of presidency that Donald Trump has. Now, let me explain to you how Donald Trump is winning, even amidst all this fake news, FBI informant books, backstabbing in his inner circle. He is still winning because of the following. Now, these numbers that I'm about to give you are right out of the United States Census. So if anybody that tries to tell me that I am fake news or BS, you don't know your ass from your elbow. Now, let me describe a little bit about the beautiful Trump capitalist economy. The U.S. median income has raised to a new high of $61,372. That's the U.S. median income, baby. It is at an all-time high under the Trump administration. And that's not all. Poverty rates have fell for the third consecutive year. Third consecutive year, baby. I'm telling you, I love being in Trump's capitalist economy. I love it. I love it. And on top of the U.S. median income at all-time highs, poverty rates falling for the third consecutive year, the number of job openings, folks, hit a record high of almost 7 million in the month of July. Huh? How do you like some of that? Welcome to the Trump economy! And what I don't understand is that you have this onslaught of fake news, slanderous lies that are being projected by all kinds of people. And they're claiming that Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's talking about. You have all kinds of accusations from that FBI informant asshole Bob Woodward. And what I'm saying is, if what he's doing is wrong, then maybe we shouldn't be doing it your right way, you establishment DC swamp people. How can you dispute all the substance that this president has been able to put forth? He's been able to accomplish things that presidents haven't been able to do in decades. And I'm sick and tired of everybody in the mainstream media, the deep state, and inner circle backstabbers and all this nonsense. I'm tired of these people. Who the hell are these people? It's almost as if they don't want America to be a success. And if they don't want America to be a success, folks, then who are they really working for? Who is inspiring these people? What is motivating these people? And like I've always said, folks, it's communism, socialism, whatever you want to call it. It's the same shit, different plate. So once again, folks, I love this president amidst the bobbing and weaving of, fake news and Bob Woodward's toilet paper book and backstabbing inner circle members of an administration, folks. He continues to win. Lowest median income at an all-new high of $61,372 a year. Poverty rate falls for the third straight consecutive year. Number of job openings hit a record high of almost 7 million in the month of July. Winning. That's all I gotta say. Winning. All right. I mean, what are you all in the establishment, you DC swampers? What are you saying is the alternative to this? What is the alternative to economic prosperity and making America great again? Can you explain this, you swamp creatures in DC? Can you explain this, you sick, demented communists and socialist Democrats? You can't. You can't. So once again, the president continues to win, and he continues to win. Another thing the president is doing here recently, folks, he's preparing the necessary agencies and system response to the coming Hurricane Florence, which is going to hit the East Coast, and it's going to be reportedly one of the biggest, and I talked about this on Monday. I speculated that given the fact that you're seeing these types of winds and this type of activity in the middle of the Atlantic, that if it hits the East Coast, it's going to be one of the biggest hurricanes to hit the East Coast, probably in American history. Now, we hope that's not the case. We hope that for some reason it kind of loses steam as it approaches the coast and maybe turns from a Category 5 or 4 down to a Category 2. But either way, there's going to be damage, and there's going to be major things to clean up. There's going to be a lot of people displaced. Very interesting situation that's going to happen in the East Coast, and I hope every capitalist that's out there in the East Coast that's going to be affected by this, I hope that you have the proper insurance coverage so that you don't have to worry about whatever happens. You could be at whatever hotel or whatever family member's home that you're staying at, and you don't have to worry that this or that might not be covered. I talked about this on this Monday show. This is why, specifically for you folks in the coasts, you have to be with as much insurance as you possibly can, because these insurance companies will not pay if they find evidence that your house was damaged by something other than what you have coverage for. So once again, I encourage everybody to look at those papers. Not to mention, if you're going to leave the area, make sure you have every special documentation on your person. That's birth certificates, social security numbers, IDs, credit cards, bank cards, account numbers, etc. Because those are going to be very important for you, regardless what happens, whether there's major devastation or not. And third, and the most important, folks, do not stay there if you're going to be in the midst of the eye of the storm. I see a lot of people on the news saying that they're going to ride it out, and I just don't understand these people. I don't understand these people. Why would you ride something like that out? This is not a game. This is not a game. There's going to be massive flooding. You're a coastal city. Look at what happened to Katrina with a similar type hurricane. So I encourage everybody out there in the East Coast, please, if you're not in the eye of the storm, or if you're in the eye of the storm, I should say, get out. Now, according to all weather meteorologists and all weather professionals, they claim that this Hurricane Florence is going to be hitting the Carolinas specifically. So everybody in the Carolinas, Godspeed, and try to get out of the way. Okay? Now, as the president prepared the country and the federal government, the necessary agencies and the system to respond to Hurricane Florence, he made a brief announcement about that. And in the announcement that he said that we're prepared and that everybody in the East Coast needs to get out and, try to stay safe, etc. One thing that I do appreciate Trump doing is that he commented about the Puerto Rico response last year during Hurricane Maria. Do y'all remember this? Y'all remember they had some fucking communist mayor broad out there that put "help us" on her shirt and we're hungry or whatever the hell she put. Y'all remember that? Well, Trump today, in the response when he was at his little press conference with the media, talking about the United States is prepared and we're ready to respond with the appropriate agencies and systems necessary to the hurricane, he called the Puerto Rican response to Maria an incredible unsung success. And they had that stupid little rodent broad that was out there causing a ruckus during the Maria hurricane out there in Puerto Rico saying, "Oh, the president didn't do nothing, the president didn't do nothing, the president didn't do nothing." All this nonsense. Look, I want to be honest with you. Who cares what happens to Puerto Rico? All right? I don't really care what happens to Puerto Rico. I don't like Puerto Rico or Puerto Ricans. I'm sorry. All right? I'm sorry. I cannot. I just don't care what happens to Puerto Ricans. I'm sorry, man. I mean, all of a sudden, Puerto Rico becomes a part of the United States when they need money and they need help from us, all right? Whenever they don't need money or help from us, oh, Boricua, Boricua, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Boricua. And they're this proud group of people that think that they're so fucking great. I'm tired of them, man. I'm tired that they're some kind of a province to the United States. I'm tired that all these people can go to and from Puerto Rico like it's no big deal. I'm tired of paying these people's welfare. I'm sorry. I don't care what happens to Puerto Rico. I just don't care. Okay, so I'm glad that the president trolled the media with this, but it's not like the president didn't do anything. He sent supplies over there. He sent a response team over there. The dumbass Puerto Rican government was trying to use this as a crisis, as a means to take over in a communist fashion. There are a bunch of lazy communists out there in Puerto Rico. I mean, folks, there was a report that came out today. All right, fucking, when was Maria? Like over a year ago? There was a report that came out today that mass hordes of bottled water were unearthed, fucking buried in Puerto Rico that were sent from the United States during the Maria hurricane. So this just goes to show you, folks, that once again, the reports are all factual, that we sent supplies, they let it rot out there, they refused to give it out to the people, they refused to give out the aid to the people, because why? They wanted to use this, I'm talking the local shitty Puerto Rican government out there, as a means to try to take over the goddamn little shithole island under a communist idea. Freaking Puerto Ricans, for Christ's sake. Who cares what happens to Puerto Rico, man? I'm tired of Puerto Rico. These fucking people are all proud of themselves, but when they realize, holy shit, I got to be responsible for myself, they can't. They don't want to. They don't want to. And look, somebody just posted the fucking, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of bottled water that they found buried. Look, they're just posting it right now here in the True Capitalist Radio chat room, man. Cheers to you. I'm telling you, this is what we're dealing with. Even when you help these Puerto Ricans, they don't want your help. So, I mean, what do you want us to do? I don't understand. What do you want us to do? Good God. Anyway, the president once again reassures everybody that the United States is prepared for Florence. And once again, don't listen to these stupid, dumb Puerto Ricans who are all, I mean, man, I hate to say it, man, who are all a bunch of lazy bastards. I remember the images that came out after Maria showing Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico looking at their cell phones, trying to follow the tower signal so that they can get back online, man. So they can go show off on Instagram and Facebook, man. Boricua, 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 Morena, Boricua. I need my Instagram, Morena. I don't want to rebuild, Morena. I don't want to rebuild. Fucking lazy bastards. Anyway, let's change the subject matter from Donald Trump to Donnie Jr. Did you hear Donnie Jr.? Now, folks, I've been suggesting that the next target of Robert Mueller's special counsel, in my view, is going to be Donnie Jr. They're going to raid Donnie Jr., they're going to arrest him, and they're going to try to charge him with that setup of a goddamn meeting in Trump Towers with that ridiculous fucking Russian, quote-unquote, Kremlin-related, or Kremlin-connected lawyer, Natalie, whatever the hell her name was. That was a complete setup. I wrote about it on Ghost.Report. He was set up just like Papadopoulos was set up, like I described on the last broadcast, like how FBI informants were trying to make people do things to incriminate them in a criminal capacity. It's unbelievably disgusting. But I unfortunately believe that because, for whatever reason, Robert Mueller, $25 million has been spent on a shitty special counsel, and he can't find anything Russia-Trump related. So he's going after Trump's friends and family. And Donnie Jr., I said, is going to be the next target. And you know what Donnie Jr. said today? Did you hear what Donnie Jr. said? He said, hey, I'm not afraid to go to jail. I'm not afraid to go to jail in this Russian investigation. I'll just compartmentalize this shit. I'm not afraid to go to jail for what I believe in. This is my family. This is the Trump administration. You think you're going to scare me with jail? Fucking gangster. Gangster Donnie Jr., baby. Donnie Trump Jr. quoting, he ain't afraid to go to jail, baby. So I'm glad that he's listening to the broadcast and he realizes that, hey, Robert Mueller's probably going to do something to you just so that he can agitate Trump, because that's all Robert Mueller's doing at this time. He's just trying to act like a bad case of herpes. You know, it never really goes away, and he just keeps agitating and keeps agitating. That's all Robert Mueller is doing, and that's why Robert Mueller's special counsel needs to cease to exist. But I'm glad that Donnie Jr., man, acting like a gangsta, baby. America first, man. He ain't afraid to go to jail. All right, so go fuck yourself there, Robert Mueller. Fucking Donnie Jr. Hey, engineer, let's try to fucking hook up with Donnie Jr. Let's see if we can get Donald Trump Jr. on this broadcast, because if he ain't afraid to go to jail, he's probably not afraid to go on this broadcast, all right? All right, engineer says it's all right. We're gonna try to get Donnie Jr. on this broadcast. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get Donnie Jr. on here. All right. And speaking of, you know, Donald Trump's kids, did you hear Eric Trump? What a madman! He was describing Bob Woodward's book in an interview recently. And I don't know if you heard what he said, but it's all over the mainstream media. They're calling it, quote, a dog whistle for anti-Semitic racists, okay? Eric Trump said that Bob Woodward wrote the book to make, quote, 3 extra shekels. Eric Trump, he actually said that. He actually said it. He said, hey, the reason Bob Woodward wrote the book is so he could make 3 extra shekels. Woo! Oh, man. Oh, man, meme magic is real, man. I'm not even joking around. Oh, man, he did it because he wants to make 3 extra shekels. I'm sorry. I had to bring that up, man. I had to bring that up. That was gangster. As a matter of fact, I'm going to open up a can of Coca-Cola on that note, man. Oh, my God. He was just trying to make 3 extra shekels. And by the way, is Woodward Jewish? Is Woodward Jewish? I know Carl Bernstein is, but is Bob Woodward Jewish? That's very interesting if he is. Sorry, I had to drink some of that cola there. But once again, what a madman, Eric Trump, man. It's going to make 3 extra shekels. Oh, man, that is funny. I'm sorry, I have to... That's good, Eric. Touche, my friend. That's very funny. Anyway, let's move on, folks. Let's get a little serious here, okay? Because I want to be completely honest. The Democrats who have been trying to foment violence through their rhetoric, and I'm talking about Maxine Waters, I'm talking about Nancy Pelosi, and other Democrats who have used very dangerous, violent rhetoric to inspire their so-called following, well, that violent rhetoric is finally starting to come to fruition. That violent rhetoric is starting to come to fruition, and there has been many violent acts recently that are directly related to leftist violence. And I told you all this was coming. I have been saying this for a long time. It's finally coming to fruition. Now, recently, folks, I don't know if you heard this, but the a Republican campaign office was firebombed in Wyoming. Wyoming, of all places, for Christ's sake. Where the hell did Antifa and these leftist lunatics, how the hell did they make it out there to Wyoming? But, of course, why else would they firebomb a Republican campaign headquarters other than the fact that they have been inspired by the Democrat rhetoric, folks? I mean, come on. Remember, these Democrats, the Maxine Waters, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers, these people are legitimate members of our Congress. So they're respected members amongst the group that respects their ideology. And if they're calling for violence, and if their rhetoric is attempting to foment violence, then violence is what is going to transpire, and that is what has been transpiring, okay? Aside from this firebombing of this Republican campaign office in Wyoming, did y'all hear about this threat of a mass shooting at a Make America Great Again event in Trump International? Y'all hear about this one? Yeah, this event, which was supposed to be, supporting Trump, it was an event to celebrate the Make America Great Again spirit, etc. It was held by a lot of the right-wing e-celebs, okay? But still, all right, it was an event. They paid to be there. They had rented out a portion of Trump International, and there was a threat of a mass shooting at this event. Now, how was this threat dispensed? It was dispensed via Twitter, and if you take a look at I don't know if it's still around, but the Twitter account that made the threat was called, and this is all one word, Dreamstar Justic, with a C at the end. I guess it's justice without the E. So Dreamstar Justic. This person said that he is going to, and posted a picture of a gun on Twitter, and said that he's going to go to this event and start shooting as many MAGA hats as he can find. And as a result, this particular event was postponed for some time because of this threat. And the FBI, etc., is looking into who made this threat, whether it was valid, whatever the case might be. So once again, folks, I mean, a firebomb in a Republican campaign office in Wyoming, a mass shooting threat at a MAGA event in Trump International, and guess what, folks? Guess what? Here recently in California, a Democrat. And before I get to that, I also want to make clear that the person that claimed that they were going to shoot the Make America Great event at Trump International claimed that they were Democrat socialist. Okay? That's very important because that's what Bernie Sanders claims he is. That's what that Ocasio-Cortez claims she is. That's what that stupid fucking Sex in the City slutbag who's running as a Democratic Socialist in New York thinks she is. So it was a Democratic Socialist, at least an account claiming to be one, that made this mass shooting threat at the Make America Great Again Trump International event. Now, in California, a Democrat tried to stab a Republican congressional candidate at a festival. Now, for you folks that are unaware of this, all right, Rudy Peters is a congressional candidate out of California. He was attending the Castro Valley Fall Festival, and he had a booth out there in which he was shaking constituents' hands, answering questions, when a 35-year-old millennial, of course, Farzad Fazeli, pulled out a switchblade and attempted to try to stab Rudy Peters. And as he was attempting to stab Rudy Peters, he said something about being anti-Trump, hating the Republicans, and, you know, all kinds of pro-leftist nonsense. There's different accounts on what he said. But either way, it was definitely politically motivated. Now, luckily for Rudy Peters, the switchblade malfunctioned, and he did not get stabbed, and he was able to fight back, and something ensued, and he got the switchblade out of the perpetrator's hand and was able to hold this guy until police came and arrested this idiot. Now, this 35-year-old millennial who tried to stab Rudy Peters, Farzad Fazeli, that's F-A-Z-E-L-I, he's being charged on suspicion of assault. Can you believe that? He tries to stab a goddamn Congress or somebody who's running for Congress, and he's being arrested on suspicion of assault. Another charge is criminal threats, brandishing a weapon, and possession of a switchblade is what Fazeli was being charged with. And these are all incidents that have happened within the span of a week's time. And once again, I mean, anyone who is Democrat at this point in time, you have to know that you are not only anti-American scum, but now you are condoning massive violence. And how long are those of us on the right continue just to stay silent and act like Gandhi and be pacifist about this? I mean, these people are going up to people running for Congress trying to stab them in broad daylight. I mean, lest we forget Steve Scalise, and thank God he's still alive? I mean, what is it going to take before we start realizing that Democrats are not just a danger politically, they're a danger for society? And I think that somebody needs to hold the people that fomented this violence accountable. The people that are in the Democratic Party that are encouraging this activity, that are blowing the whistles to this type of activity, they have to be held accountable to some extent. Because no time in American history have we seen this kind of political violence. And it sure as hell ain't coming from our side. It's coming from the demented, lunatic left. So what are we going to do about it? I mean, we're in a very precarious situation, folks. There are a lot of these leftists who are this mentally deranged that they think this type of activity is a feasible reason and a feasible solution to do. And it's because, like I said, Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi, and Cory Booker, and all these people, Kamala Harris, all these people are fomenting this violence. Why are they not being held accountable, folks? I mean, if this was happening to them, if a Democratic headquarters been firebombed, had there been a mass shooting threat at one of their events, had someone tried to stab one of their Democrats, folks, this would be all over the media, and they would be plastering how dangerous Republicans are, how dangerous the right is, and yet you hear nothing about this violence. You hear absolutely nothing. So, folks, this right now, what we are witnessing, the Democrats, can legitimately be a threat to our national security. Because instead of trying to go out and vote and be civil in a political fashion, these people are trying to ruin the country. They're trying to destabilize the country. And I think people need to wake up and realize that that's what not just the Democrats want, but that's what the globalists want. The globalists don't want America existing anymore. They don't want the idea of America as a superpower anymore. Don't you understand? The globalists want to consolidate all these nation states into unions. Into unions. Remember, they tried to consolidate America, Canada, and Mexico into the North American Union? Of course, we have the European Union. We've got the African Union, the Asian Union. That's what the globalists are trying to do, consolidate all nation states into unions, folks. There are no superpowers. And you see, that's what Trump is trying to bring back to us, you assholes. That's what Trump is trying to bring back to us, the people that built not only this country, but we funded this globalist shit. Why do you think Trump is getting us out of all these Paris climate accords and having us stop funding the UN and all these internationalist institutions? Because we're funding them, and those institutions are being used against us, against our sovereignty, against our own rule of law, and we as Americans can't stand for it any longer. We can't stand for it. And that's who wants a destabilization of America. It's not just the Democrats, it's the globalists. They don't want to see America as any kind of superpower, as any kind of influence into their globalization system. I mean, how much more evidence do you need? And thank God we have a president that's anti-globalism, man. And I tell you, every day I wake up, he does something more and more anti-globalist, and I'm loving every minute of it. We talked about it on the last show that Donald Trump basically told the International Criminal Court to go take a piss. All right, go piss off. We're not even acknowledging the ICC at The Hague anymore, man. I mean, quote John Bolton, the ICC is dead to the United States. Oh, man. But that's what I'm trying to convey to each and every one of you that are listening to my broadcast, man. That's why we have to be serious in politics, especially in America. Because America is the only country in the world where the people have a fucking say-so in who leads them. And the case in point that our government still works for the people and by the people is the president being elected. The fact that Donald Trump is sitting in the White House right now shows that enough of us, if we're backing up an idea, a cause, or a person, the government will crack. There's been many instances in American history where this has been valid. But everybody in America, I'm talking the majority of America, has to back up a single idea, a single concept, a policy, a person, so that the government will crack. That's why they allowed Trump to be president. That's why the deep state tried to conspire this bureaucratic conspiracy in an attempt to remove Trump from office, because they had to make it look legitimate, because he was legitimately elected by the people. So the bureaucracy, the deep state, has to make Mr. and Mrs. Joe Sixpack believe that removing Donald Trump is not only necessary, but it's also a national security issue, which obviously has blown up in their face, because their grand conspiracy gets more and more exposed as time goes by. Did you all hear about the recent texts that were released between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page? In these texts, they were talking about planting fake news against Carter Page. And why do they want to do that? Because they wanted to discredit what Carter Page was saying. Now, just the fact that you have high echelon FBI not just giving and leaking information to the media, but have the ability to plant fake news stories, just goes to show you what I've always told you about the media. That the media and the deep state are one and the same. And that's why our president always says that the mainstream media is definitely an enemy of the people. Because they aren't informing people. They aren't bringing news to people. They are trying to suggest narratives. They are carving perspectives in people's minds. That's what they're doing. They are not informing people. And that's what the news used to do. It used to inform you. It used to enlighten you. But now it's shaping your narrative. And aside from all these violent episodes, getting back to the Democrats inspiring violence, I mean, not only are they inspiring violence, folks, they're also taking the rules of not just the Congress, but of American laws and wiping their asses with them. Did you hear? Cory Booker is a prime example of what I'm talking about. This guy thinks that he is so edgy because he broke Senate rules and made confidential information unconfidential against Senate rules. So, aside from Democrats trying to foment violence and chaos and destabilization in the country, they are trying to nullify the institutions of our government. And as far as I'm concerned, Cory Booker should not only be removed from the Senate, he should be put in Leavenworth for 10 or 15 years for such a stunt. We can't allow a precedent like this. We can't allow a senator to pick and choose which rules that he's going to accept in an institution of government. We can't allow this. But we're allowing it, folks. And this is why those of us on the right have to be more than vocal. We can't be scared and intimidated by left-wing violence. We have to yell louder than these people. We've got to push the information farther than these people. We've got to make these people look like the lunatics, like the crazy people they are, folks, because the right is on our side. No pun intended. I mean, what are we? What are we as capitalists, as Republicans, as conservatives, or whatever variant you want to label yourself as? What are we? We are about individualism. We're about individual liberty and freedom. We're about having one to have the decision to whatever they want to do in life. We're for preserving manhood and protecting womanhood. We are for trying to promote the family. I mean, these are who we are. We're not bad people, you know? I mean, we are not bad folks. We're conservative people. We're capitalists. I mean, we don't want any ill intention in anybody. But since those of us are so dangerous to those on the left that they feel that they have to inflict violence upon us, folks, I mean, wasn't it George Bush Jr. that invented the term preemptive strike? And that was America's doctrine for a good portion of foreign policy. Remember that? Preemptive strike. Strike them before they strike us because they're a, quote, imminent threat. I mean, are we going to have to start doing that? Or we have to start doing preemptive strikes? Because, folks, I mean, how much longer are we going to put up with this, man? Firebombing a Republican campaign office, mass shooting threats at Make America Great Again events, attempted stabbings of Republican congressional politicians. I mean, what we've got Cory Booker defying rules in the Senate. I mean, some of us in America have to stand up and demand justice, and we have to protect these institutions, man, because it's what's kept America America for this long. So in my personal opinion, folks, this is dangerous precedent, and I think everybody needs to come together, and we need to start denouncing this. And if it takes violence to protect ourselves, folks, what else are we left with? I mean, folks, and when I mean I'm talking the left, they're trying to inspire violence against police. They're trying to inspire violence against politicians. Folks, these are the authority that are supposed to protect society and make society civil. And if for whatever reason the police are afraid to police society because the leftists have inspired such violence towards them, then society doesn't have much. It doesn't have much to keep itself civil. Let's put it that way. And I think people need to think about this. This is very serious, and you need to talk about this to everybody you think is a Democrat or you think is going to vote Democrat, because you have to tell them this is what you're promoting. This is what you're voting for. You're voting for anti-American party that cares more about illegal immigrants, that cares more about criminals, that cares more about everything else that is anti-American than they do the constituency that voted them into office to begin with. And that's another thing. I can't believe that these areas of the country continue to elect these people. How do they continue to elect these people, even though they're doing what they feel whenever they're elected? They're like mini dictators when they're elected, and they're going against their own constituency's best interest. Sociopaths, man. That's all damn politicians are, man. A bunch of sick-ass, demented, mindless, soulless, cash whore sociopaths. And it makes me sick. Give me my freaking cola, for Christ's sake. Somebody's asking on Gab, well, what do we do about this? How can we get our America back? Well, first and foremost, why don't you participate in the actual process? You know that if enough people were able to go to and take the party system seriously, that you could change the world just by taking over one or both parties. You could throw people out of office because you're in charge of the party. You can change who is going to be a Republican or who is going to be a Democrat, but you have to start at the very ground level. You have to go to the smallest precinct meeting. And then when you go to the smallest precinct meeting, you go to the bigger meetings. And then you go to other events and get yourself known. Get your ideas known. And then once you have enough ideas that are articulated, people begin to follow you. And then you gravitate other people that aren't with the party and have them follow you even more. And to the point in which you become such an influential player in the party that you dictate what the party rules are. And everybody who runs under the party has to run under those party rules. Because, folks, as I've stated time and time again, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are above the law. That's why there is nothing going to happen, and never was anything going to happen, to the Democrats committing outright voter fraud by basically, through documentation that was unearthed by WikiLeaks, admitted that they rigged the Democratic nomination for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Nothing can be done about it. I mean, you have to understand, the party's rules supersede the Constitution. Now, why does the party rule supersede the Constitution? Because remember, this is a government made for the people and by the people. But who's the people? The people are represented by an assembly. It's in the First Amendment, folks. It's in the first goddamn amendment. So if one has a freedom to assemble, then the government, by definition, as defined in the U.S. Constitution, if there's an assembly, then the government can't interfere with that assembly's freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, etc. And there has been no prosecution of any kind relating to party mischief, party corruption, party criminality, etc. So if you all want to make a change in the world, you all take over the fucking parties. But if you want my opinion, I don't think there's enough people with the dedication, the energy, the motive, and the ambition to do so. That's why if you take a look at most of these party precinct meetings, they're all a bunch of old people. Once again, the baby boomers, right? They're all a bunch of old people. But if some of you idiots, instead of gaming, instead of waxing your carrot, watching porno cartoons and whatever the hell else you dumbass millennial and young people are doing, maybe, just maybe, if you organized yourselves and started going to your precinct meetings and started going to your party get-togethers and on a county level, on a state level, you could become so influential in the party that you redefine the rules. And when you redefine the rules, you dictate what the hell is going to be represented as your party. That's why, folks, the party delegates in 2016, the GOP, that's why they were so blatant in saying, well, you know, the primaries really don't mean anything. It's us delegates that choose who is going to be representing our party in the presidential election. Y'all remember that? I mean, that was a clip sent on CNBC by some asshole who was, I don't know, sat on one of the boards of the Republican fucking party. He was out of North Dakota. I remember that. I remember he doxed that idiot. But you see, folks, this is what I'm telling you. The only reason that Donald Trump got the nomination for the GOP in 2016 was because the people pressured the party. And I hate to say this, but Roger Stone and Paul Manafort pressured the party. You don't think Paul Manafort had dirt on some of these delegates to turn their delegate vote from someone else to Donald Trump? And you don't think that's why Robert Mueller's going after Paul Manafort and wanting to throw him in prison for life? It's all politics, baby. Politics is power. Nothing more, baby. Anyway, we are now in the third and final hour of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. And, of course, I am your host, the man they call Ghost. And once again, folks, I want to thank you very much for tuning in with me. Before we get started on anything else, I'd like to remind everybody to please spread this show link around like wildfire. And let everybody you know across the internets and throughout the world, let them all know that True Capitalist Radio is in effect and in the house. And we are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Texas Time, right here on the official website of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. And once again, I love being independent now. Type this in your browser. Add it to your bookmarks. Add it to your favorites. The following, ghost.report. All right? Ghost.report. It's as simple as that, baby. All right? And make sure you spread that link throughout the world. That's the official website of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. All right? And by the way, if you have not done so, please get yourself a free Gab account. For Christ's sake, man. All right, Gab is the last bastion of freedom of speech on social media today. Get yourself a free Gab account. And once you do, follow me, all right? Follow me on Gab under the name Politics Ghost, all right? All one word, no underscores. Politics Ghost is the name to follow on Gab. All right? I mean, you got to get yourself a Gab account, man. It's the last bastion of freedom of speech on the goddamn internet today. And by the way, if you want to be a part of the True Capitalist Radio chat room, what's going on, True Capitalist Radio chat room? If you want to be a part of the True Capitalist Radio chat room, all you've got to do is go to my Gab account right now. Go to my Gab! Check out my Gab! Go to my Gab account at Politics Ghost, all one word, no underscores, and click the subscribe button for premium content, all right? Click the subscribe button for premium content, and once you do, private message me on Gab, and let me know your Discord chat name, and then I'll go ahead and private message you back, and I will give you a private invitation to the True Capitalist Radio chat room. It's that damn simple, baby, all right? Let me give some shout-outs to some peeps in the True Capitalist Radio chat room who are chilling with us in here. We've got the Pet Mexican. We've got the God of Rage. We've got Stagio Prince in the house, Pepe the Frog. We've got Metaform. We got Man Bear Pig. We've got Insane Energy, Holden Capitalist, Herb Capitalist, Hans Uberlander, Curly McWhirly, Capitalist America, Boat in the house, Billy Cossack, Bash in the place, Aquilian, Andrew Smith, Aesthetic in the place. And what's going on to everybody else that I missed? Cheers to you guys. Once again, I'm going to be in the True Capitalist Radio chat room after this broadcast, so come on down. And by the way, once again, the True Capitalist Radio chat room subscribers, if they want, they're going to get themselves a free newsletter in the mail. All right, just in case, because you got a lot of people banning, you got a lot of people doing all kinds of stuff. Just in case they try to take old Ghost out, we've got a means to communicate, all right, through the newsletter. So if you want to subscribe, anybody who subscribes this month, obviously, is going to get a newsletter. And we're going to put out that newsletter probably late September. Late September! So anyway, go ahead and take a look at that. Subscribe. Got a lot of goodies, etc. Anyway, now that we're in the third hour, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about international relations. How about that? Let's talk about some international news here. That's what we do here in the third hour. Did y'all hear what the European Union has done? Have y'all heard about the latest European Union news? Well, they voted today for disciplinary action for the country of Hungary. Now, why is this? Because the EU is saying that their country, quote, poses a systematic threat to the democracy and rule of law of the European Union. I mean, can you believe this? Now, why is the EU turning on Hungary? Well, let's be honest, folks. Hungary has been very vocal about being anti-immigrant, especially with the Prime Minister, Viktor Orban. Viktor Orban has been very vocal, stating that Hungary doesn't want any of these damn wild Yehudis, doesn't want any of this migrant crisis that has been affecting other EU nation states, and he doesn't want to have nothing to do with it. Now, aside from their anti-immigration stance, I think that another thing that caused this EU vote, and if you want my opinion, this EU vote could potentially stem into an Article 7, and an Article 7 under the EU charters will strip Hungary of any kind of voting rights within the European Union. But in my opinion, I think that what's really causing the European Union vote is the fact that Hungary has been going after the organization that is and has been funded and is controlled by George Soros. Now, ever since Hungary has been pursuing George Soros, that's when the EU has been taking this stance as Hungary being some kind of a systematic threat. Now, many people believe, especially those within Hungary, believe that the EU is doing this because of their anti-immigration stance. I think that's a very small part of it. I think it's the fact that Hungary is being very, very aggressive in their prosecution of George Soros, that's why you're seeing the EU going at him. Because, lest we forget, folks, Italy is taking a hard stance against immigrants. I mean, they don't even want immigrants, even if they're paid to take them, for Christ's sake, man. Italy doesn't want them. And yet you don't hear the EU going as far as voting not only for disciplinary action, but potentially filing Article 7 and stripping their rights to vote. So once again, folks, this is what's going to happen in the EU. And what did I tell you all the EU was all about? I told you all along that the European Union was nothing more than communism. It's communism. I mean, what was the last country that called itself a union? That referred to itself a union? Oh, yeah, Soviet Union. The first communist nation state. And what, we're surprised that the EU has taken this type of a totalitarian stance against nation states that didn't elect this parliament to begin with? Let me tell you something. I think Hungary should fucking raise up and tell the EU to go piss off. Because the EU is not an elected body. It just usurped power from a bunch of politicians that cared more about their self-serving, power-hungry autocrat ways than they did about their own fucking countries. So once again, folks, this is what's happening in the European Union right now. They voted today for disciplinary action for Hungary. Now, this preludes the Article 7. Now, Article 7 is what the EU will file against so-called rogue nation-states that belong to the European Union that will strip them of their rights to vote in any kind of EU capacity. So that's Hungary's future. They've already threatened Poland with this. Y'all remember this? They've already threatened Poland with Article 7, so all I'm suggesting is keep going, Hungary, keep going, Poland, keep going, Italy, for Christ's sake. I mean, y'all are not stupid. It was the migrant crisis that caused the situations that you're witnessing in the European Union. It was the decisions of this unelected parliament in Belgium, in Brussels, that brought the onslaught of migrants into your countries. And you cannot stand silent while your country is being overtaken by a new people. So that's why I am glad to hear this, and I'm calling on Hungary, I'm calling on Poland, I'm calling on Italy, and every other nation state in the European Union. It's time to raise up. It's time to preserve your race. It's time to preserve your culture. Don't be socially engineered by a bunch of unelected bureaucrats in Brussels that call themselves the European Union. They were unelected. Remember that, people of Europe. They were unelected. And now these people who are unelected think they have the authority to take away a whole nation-state's right to vote? Oh, my God. No wonder people voted Brexit. I don't know if they're going to vote Brexit anymore, but this is why people in Britain wanted to vote Brexit, because of totalitarian, unelected trash like this. So come on, Hungary. Come on and raise up. Raise up. Jesus Christ. Can you get any more totalitarian, man? Oh, God. Give me my freaking cola. I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell's going to happen to the EU, but I am encouraging more of this activity because I can't stand the EU Parliament. I can't stand Juncker and all those bureaucrats that think that they're in charge of the world because they are at the head of this bureaucratic bullshit system of the EU that was unelected, man. It's time for Europe to start taking their countries back and not be chicken shit to do it. All right? Don't be chicken shit to do it. Just come on and raise up. You have moral and ethical and legal justification on your side because no one elected these people in Brussels. All right? Remember that. No one elected these people. I'm not even European and it pisses me off. You know that? I'm not even a European, and it pisses me off that the European Union thinks that it has the unilateral force to just shut a whole country down from voting for anything, man. That should piss everybody off in Europe. That should piss everybody off, but obviously it doesn't, all right? Anyway, let's move on, folks. We got a lot of things to talk about in international relations. North Korea. Let's do some North Korea news. North Korea reports that it has already taken steps towards denuclearization. For instance, no further nuclear or missile testing, etc. But North Korea right now is waiting for the U.S. to reciprocate. And this is what I was saying was the initial, I guess, boggle after the Singapore summit. Was the fact that Kim Jong-un and North Korea had really capitulated and gave a lot, even though the United States and America really gave nothing. Lest we forget that North Korea released the hostages without any kind of prerequisite. Lest we forget that Kim Jong-un signed a promise of denuclearization without any preconcessions, without any concessions whatsoever. Now he's taken the steps necessary to denuclearize, and now, you know, much like how Kim Jong-un is letting everybody out, or letting out the news, is that he wants the United States to reciprocate. It's the United States move, according to Kim Jong-un. Now, even though, we're at this little standstill, I've always said it's going to be tit for tat when it comes to North Korea, lest we forget that North Korea is being ran by a millennial. Remember that Kim Jong-un is like 34, 35 years old. I don't know why we don't see more millennials taking control of institutions of power in America, but, man-children, whatever. But he's a millennial, and he just took control of this bureaucratic system. He's purged a lot of people. He's had to kill a lot of people. Remember, he fed his uncle to dogs, and he's had to do a lot of things just to show that he means business and that he's in control of the regime. Now, as he kind of slips into this diplomatic character in which he's going to kind of capitulate, for a lack of a better term, to the United States, he's got to do it in a very delicate capacity so it can't discombobulate the people that follow him as his population, and it doesn't dissuade anyone that's within his internal government that could potentially make him a target for removal. So there's a lot of things that Kim Jong-un has to do on his end as it pertains to this denuclearization, so he doesn't look like a weak leader to not only his people but to his inner command, his bureaucratic system of government and military. Because a big portion of North Korea's unification and a big portion of North Korea's propaganda is the fact that they supposedly beat the United States in the Korean Wars. And I think they captured like one vessel. I forgot. I think it was the USS Pueblo. They captured one vessel. That vessel is a relic in North Korea. Every North Korean has to go see it once in their lives because to them it's North Korea kicking out the imperialist United States, etc. So you've got a whole population that has been indoctrinated for 70 years with this idea that the U.S. is an imperialist, the great Satan that hates North Koreans, and now you've got a new leader that is slowly trying to make its population adapt that, hey, maybe America wasn't the big bad Satan we all said it was. Maybe, it's a new day and age. Maybe it's time for peace, etc., etc. And given the fact that North Korea is a dictatorship that is, lineage, it's kind of a quasi-communist monarchism that is passed on from generation to generation. Kim Jong-un has a very delicate situation here. So I don't blame Kim Jong-un moving as slow as he has. Although if you listen to the mainstream media experts, they claim that all this is for nothing, even though we have seen more capitulation from North Korea than at any time during this whole North Korean-South Korean conflict. So once again, North Korea, the reports are that it has taken the necessary steps for denuclearization. There has been no nuclear tests. There has been no missile firings. North Korea right now is just waiting for the U.S. to reciprocate. Now, with that being said, there are talks inside the Trump administration for a second President Trump and Kim Jong-un meeting in the works. Now, with that being said, I'm sure at that particular meeting, Trump has to publicly show some level of reciprocation in this negotiation of denuclearization of North Korea. And what that may be, who knows? But in the most recent letter that was delivered to Trump from Kim Jong-un made references to saying that he wants to denuclearize before the Trump administration's over, and that he very much likes Trump. And that's why he's doing what he's doing. And once again, all I've got to say is winning. I mean, this is President Trump at its best, man. This is President Trump, the art of the deal. And they're very close here. I'm talking about North Korea and South Korea. They're very close in wanting a full-fledged peace agreement to where they can have free flowing of North and South Koreans. I mean, we're that close. We are that close, in my opinion. All right? So, once again, winning, much props to the president. he continues to amaze, not just in his economic ways, but in his foreign policy, baby. And, folks, I hate to be the prognosticator tooting my own horn, but I said this was going to happen a long time ago. Didn't I say that? And if you don't believe me, go back to the old archives. The old archives at blogtalkradio.com/ghost. Go take a look at those archives, and you'll see and hear what I talk about. Everything that I said back then is coming to pass, baby. I'm telling you right now. Now, okay, while Trump is winning all around, with the exception of the deep state and the media and the establishment in Washington, D.C., Vladimir Putin seems to be wanting to try to capture whatever it is that Trump has. I don't know whether he's getting inspired by Trump or whatever it is, but maybe it's because, let's be honest, Vladimir Putin is having a lot of destabilization in his country. I've been talking about this for the past 2 years. Aside from the youth not necessarily wanting Putin in power anymore, the faction that keeps him in power, which is the older generations in Russia, are now starting to turn against Putin because Putin has suggested that he wants to cut pensions for older people. And the older folks in Russia didn't like that very much. So they went out and they protested en masse. We talked about this past Monday. And Vladimir Putin had to arrest 800 old protesters that were protesting against pension cuts. Now, Putin has since gone back on those pension cuts, but he still arrested the 800 people. So right now, domestically, Vladimir Putin doesn't look very good. So when Vladimir Putin doesn't look very good, what does he do? He goes out and panders to the international media. And the international media flock to him, they cover him, they take pictures of him like a bunch of goddamn flies to crap. And as I've stated, it is the international media and the bolstering of not only Vladimir Putin, but Russia itself, is what's keeping Vladimir Putin in power in Russia today. It's the fact that international media puts Russia on this super hacker level and this super state level, and Vladimir Putin is this super sneakster that's meddling in elections and doing all this crap. This is why the Russians allow Vladimir Putin to stay in power. It's the international media making Russia look like this superior overseeing superstate that no one can stop. I mean, I'm telling you this, folks. I'm certain about this. Everybody in Russia wants Vladimir Putin to go. They want him to go. They want him out of here. He's stolen everything that he has, okay? I told you about this last week. This man stole, $150 billion from all the Russian so-called oligarchs he kicked out of Russia. He kicked them out, seized their bank accounts, and put it in his own bank account. Like a fucking dirty piece of shit thief communist. That's what communists do, folks. That's why no one should trust Vladimir Putin. No one. No one. Now, the reason I bring up Vladimir Putin is, once again, he's trying to use the international media to bolster his tarnished domestic image. Yesterday, folks, he's attending this, regional economic forum in how do you pronounce this? Vladivostok, Russia. Anyway, at this economic forum, for whatever reason, Putin decided to, and Xi Jinping from China, the head of state of China, was at this same economic forum. Vladimir Putin decided to bring Xi Jinping out and make pancakes and caviar in front of cameras. It was one of the most weirdest, oddest photo ops I'd ever seen in my fucking life. Did y'all see that crap? It's Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, the head state of China, making pancakes and caviar. I mean, what is that photo op supposed to mean there, Vladimir Putin? What does that mean? That you're so rich that you have caviar for breakfast? I don't understand what the hell that damn photo op was supposed to signify. But I'm assuming he was inspired by Trump? I mean, this is a very odd photo op for Putin. And if y'all haven't seen the pictures, take a look at them for yourself. It's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, Xi Jinping is like, what the fuck am I doing here? I don't want to fucking eat this. I eat an egg roll. I eat a fucking egg roll all day. I don't eat a fucking pancake, a fucking egg roll. It's one of the oddest, cringiest goddamn photo ops you'll ever see in your life. Okay, but for whatever reason, Vladimir Putin took it upon himself to do this little photo op. And, I mean, it had, like, most people that are international observers confused. Like, what the hell is up Vladimir Putin's poop shoot, man? Anyway, that was very odd, okay? I mean, obviously, this is an attempt by Vladimir Putin to try to bolster his image. I don't know how this bolsters his image, but I'm telling you, look, the guys in the True Capitalist Radio chat room are laughing their asses off. They're posting the images right now. Look at Vladimir Putin. Look at Xi Jinping. Look at the Chinese president. He's like, what the fuck are you doing here? I don't want to fucking make a pancake. You're a motherfucker. I don't want to make a pancake. You're doing the dumb motherfucker. It is one of the oddest, cringiest goddamn photo ops I've ever seen in my life. But once again, Vladimir Putin trying to make I don't know, the most usage out of the international media that he can. Anyway, folks, if you think that's bad, okay, the next day, which is today, for whatever reason, at the same economic forum, the same regional economic forum, Vladimir Putin, I guess, had a peace hair up his ass. He decides to turn to Abe, President Abe, or I should say Prime Minister Abe of Japan. He turns to at this economic forum and attempts to propose a peace treaty with Japan over some disputed lands that they've been disputing over since World War II. I mean, what? What the fuck is Putin smoking, man? What is Putin smoking? I mean, for whatever reason, Vladimir Putin, okay, and I'm going to quote, okay, he turns to Abe, all right, which is the head of state of Japan. He turns to Abe and says, and I quote, "Here's an idea, has just come to my head. Let's conclude a peace treaty before the end of this year, without any preconditions," Putin said during a question and answer session at the forum, prompting the audience to break in applause. Oh, look at Putin. He's such a peaceful guy. And, of course, when they asked Shinzo Abe, if they asked the Prime Minister of Japan, so what do you think about that? He didn't really have any comment to say about that. All right, he didn't have any comment to say about that. This is what he said. "I don't want to comment on what Putin said. However, our position that the Northern Territory issue should be resolved before any peace treaty remains unchanged." Now, what exactly are they talking about? They're talking about this dispute over some lands between Russia and China that started, more than 70, almost 80 years ago. All right, the Soviet Union occupying the strategically located Kuril chain of islands during the last days of World War II in 1945. Now, both nations have laid claim over the group of 4 islands known as Southern Kurils in Russia and Northern Territories in China. So they're disputing who owns this disputed group of islands, and for whatever reason, Vladimir Putin wants to have some spontaneous peace agreement with Japan over these islands. And after the economic forum was over, the Japanese responded to Putin's peace treaty by saying, hell no. All right. The Japanese said, hell no, we don't want any peace treaty over this freaking crap. So once again, man, Vladimir Putin attempting to utilize the international media, trying to bolster his goddamn image, trying to make himself look like some kind of a Russian vodka-drinking, mouth-breathing hotshot. And I think, if you want my opinion, he's failing miserably. All right? I mean, Japan already said no to the peace agreement, and the guys in the True Capitalist Radio chat room are still laughing at the pictures of goddamn Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping making pancakes and caviar. It's fucking ridiculous, for Christ's sake. And this was Putin's idea. Okay, that's Putin's idea. Pancakes and caviar. What kind of a fucking breakfast is that? What kind of a rich, pretentious, $150 billion communist thief are you, you piece of crap, Putin? Jesus Christ, give me my freaking cola. Good stuff. Anyway, now that we've talked a little bit about Russia, let's talk a little bit about China, since we're talking about Xi Jinping and China. Now, what have I been telling you all for the past several weeks as it relates to China? I have been saying that China, soon enough, is going to have its own Muslim problem. Now, folks, the prognosticator of prognosticator strikes again, baby! And I hate to laugh and to gloat about this, but here comes the Chinese Muslim problem, folks. Now, you're not going to hear about this on the mainstream media. As a matter of fact, most Chinese news is very much suppressed. So you have to go looking for this story to find it. But today, a suspected Uyghur terrorist, okay? That's, of course, the Chinese Muslim minority in China, took a Land Rover. Oh, yeah, believe it or not, China's got Land Rovers and Audis just kind of flowing around the place like it ain't shit because they're a big rich country that gets $600 billion from America on an annual trade deficit basis. But anyway, a suspected Uyghur, which is the Chinese Muslim minority, took a Land Rover and decided to plow through crowds of Chinese people, killing 3, injuring 43. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? The prognosticator of prognosticators strikes again. I told you China was going to have a Muslim Islamic terrorism problem, and it begins today. It begins today. I told you. I told you. Once again, a Uyghur terrorist, the Chinese Muslim minority, took a Land Rover, and I guess that seems to be the new terrorist act nowadays, is to take some big vehicle and just plow it into people. Is that the new I mean, what, are they going to ban cars now? They're going to ban big vans? They're going to ban trucks? I mean, what else are they going to ban? Knives? What are they going to do next? What are they going to do next? Anyway, Chinese Muslims, China's Muslim problem begins today, baby. Oh, my God. I told you all, baby. I know international relations. I mean, that's why people listen to this broadcast. People listen to this broadcast because it's the straight political dope, man. I'm giving people the real reasons why nation states are acting. And believe it or not, you're not going to hear about this, because the mainstream media, it's not going to cover Chinese terrorism because Chinese media is barely going to cover it. So once again, man, the Muslim problem for China begins. A Land Rover plows through a crowd, killing 3, injuring 43. And of course, the state of China, the nation state of China, says it is terrorist related. So here we go. Here we go. And why is this happening to China? Because, folks, this is the American foreign policy. You have to understand, folks, we, as the United States and our black operative elements, we created jihadism. We created this shit. I mean, we were the ones that funded, trained, and armed the Mujahideen during the Russian-Afghan war of the late 70s, early 80s. We have been in charge of these people ever since. And like I've said, unfortunately, during the Bush administration and during the Obama administration, those Yehudi assets were used against us. And we can sit here and debate why they were used against us, why the black operations in America used the Islamic threat to motivate us to do certain things. We can talk about why, like wars and, the displacement of civilization and migrant crises and etc. But now that President Trump is in office, the new black operative policy of using our jihadist assets is no longer going to be used against us. On the contrary, the United States is going to use our jihadist assets against our foes, against our enemies, and that's what's happening here. I mean, I told you that Russia and China were going to get a Muslim problem. They were going to have a Muslim terrorist problem, and it's starting. We talked about last week or 2 weeks ago that in Chechnya, we had a terrorist act that killed Chechnyan police officers and a couple of civilians. And ISIS took responsibility. And today, once again, the Chinese Uyghurs. A Uyghur got behind the Land Rover and plowed through a goddamn crowd of Chinese people, killing 3, injuring 43. Goddamn Uyghurs. Goddamn Uyghurs. You can't trust a Uyghur, can't you? Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Now, speaking of terrorists and Islamic Jihadis and how they are truly black operative assets of America, let's talk a little bit about another prognostication that has come to fruition. Now, everybody has been very critical about how I've been interpreting what's been happening in Afghanistan. Now, in Afghanistan, there's been a lot of fighting as of late, and it's been the Taliban killing exclusively Afghan police, Afghan soldiers, etc. And the reason they're doing this is because, folks, the United States is now having a hands-off approach as it pertains to protecting the Afghan government. The Afghan government has been protected by the United States for, 15, 16 years, and it's about time that they start protecting themselves and they start policing their own streets. And you see, because of this, we are open to trying to establish a diplomatic channel with the Taliban by allowing them to not only communicate with us, but potentially bringing them aboard as a part of the governing body that is Afghanistan. Now, a lot of people have been claiming that what I'm suggesting as the new Afghan policy is absolute fake news. It's garbage, right? I've had people private message me on Gab. Ghost, you don't know what you're talking about. We'll never establish diplomatic relations with the Taliban. We're going to be in Afghanistan. We're going to protect the Afghan government. You don't know what you're talking about. So shut up. Folks, I have said that the Taliban is now open to negotiations, and there's diplomatic channels open, and that the United States' new policy is to incorporate the Taliban into the new government, or if the Taliban, by some chance, happens to take control of the entire government itself, I don't think the United States cares one way or the other, but we, as the United States, are establishing that we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. And if you want my opinion, I think that this new established diplomatic channel with the Taliban, not only is it going to incorporate them into this government, but they are going to be friends of our friends of our enemies. You know, we're treating the Taliban like the mob at this point. You keep your friends close, you keep your enemies closer. And why are we doing this? Because we are having a reset established relationship with Pakistan. And I've said that the Taliban all came from Pakistan. I mean, lest we forget, the Taliban translated means Muslim student. And they all came from the madrasas in Pakistan. So with us establishing a new diplomatic relations with Pakistan, it's going to force us to establish a new diplomatic channel of communication with the Taliban, which we can use to our advantage against our enemies a la the Chinese and the Russians. Now, for you folks that have been saying that my assessment of what's going on in Afghanistan is fake news, well, here it is right for you. Taliban preparing for peace talks with the United States. Huh? How you like that? Huh? The prognosticator of prognosticators strikes again. Once again, Taliban preparing for peace talks with the United States. Now, where are these peace talks going to happen? How are they being negotiated? Well, the Taliban is sending 2 Talibani officials to meet with the U.S. delegation in Qatar. Now, one of the princes of Qatar is actually the one organizing the meeting. And I think that this is where we're going to establish the new relations with not only the Taliban, but a new foreign policy with Afghanistan. That's why you have President Trump open to the idea of taking out our military troops out of Afghanistan and sending in the true mean killing machine of Blackwater, the private mercenary group, to oversee the Afghanistan situation. And the reason is because, let's be honest, there's a reason why President Trump and his administration denounced the International Criminal Court. Because the ICC actually wants to initiate some level of war crime charges against some of the troops in Afghanistan, and we can't allow that to happen. I mean, these troops in Afghanistan just did what they were supposed to do. They were serving orders. And lest we forget that the Taliban, they're pretty brutal killers themselves. I like how the International Criminal Court completely negates that. But regardless, once we send the brutal killers from Blackwater, the United States is no longer on the hook for any war crimes or any kind of international crimes, etc. Because it's a private militia, and it's the private militia's discretion on what it does on a war footing situation. And to be honest with you, we need brutal killers to be in charge of Afghanistan, because that's exactly what the Taliban are. They're brutal fucking killers. And what have I always told you folks? What keeps people loyal? What keeps people honorable? Murder. And I hate to say it, it's what kept the mob, from squealing on each other. It's what keeps the CIA together. It's what keeps, the deep state together. I hate to say it, but it is. I mean, try to join the CIA and double-cross the CIA and see how long you'll stay alive, okay? I'm just saying. I mean, that's what keeps people honest. And that's why we need, bloodthirsty killers like the fucking guys from Blackwater. They're just going to go out there and not going to take no shit from some Taliban Jehudi, and is not going to take no shit from nobody. And to be honest with you, we don't want to be on a war footing with Taliban. We want Taliban to work with us against China. And I think that's what we're going to establish, because I don't think that a Taliban-run Afghanistan is going to be very favorable to a China that is persecuting and putting in concentration camps and re-education camps Muslims. On the contrary, the Taliban would love to be a thorn on the side of China. Same with the other Jehudis from ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They would love to be a thorn on the side of China and Russia because of their persecution of Muslims. And take a look at Al Jazeera, folks. That's all they're talking about. That's all they're talking about. They're talking about the Chinese persecution of the Uyghurs. They're talking about how the Muslim minorities in certain Russian provinces are being oppressed, etc. I mean, we all know that Al Jazeera does the same thing that CNN does to the United States population, but to the Arabs. And that's why they're pushing out such content right now, folks. They're trying to rabble-rouse all the Jehudis, all the Islamic jihadists from throughout the Middle East, and put them and motivate them in the position to go out there to Afghanistan, to go to the Middle East, to conduct themselves in jihad, and especially towards these powers that are persecuting and killing and putting in concentration camps and re-education camps Muslims. So once again, folks, the prognosticator of prognosticators strikes again. And I told all of you that this was happening, that this is the foreign policy. I'm not just talking out my ass here. What you hear on this broadcast is the straight political dope. That's what you hear on this broadcast. And believe it or not, if you're listening to this broadcast to its entirety, you know more than everybody else when it comes to not just economics, not just the markets, but when it comes to domestic and international politics. That's what makes this show so badass, if you want my opinion. It ain't me. It ain't me. It's the information that's being broadcasted on this broadcast. And to be honest with you, folks, I've never been one for attention whoring. I've never been one who wanted to be famous. I am trying to convey the ideas and hopefully inspire those, not just in America, but throughout the world, on acting on those ideas, on wanting to promote capitalism, on wanting to promote free individualism, liberty, etc. That's what I'm trying to do. Now, that pretty much concludes everything that I had to discuss today. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the next 15 minutes and I'm going to make it an ask question session, all right? So if you happen to have a question to ask Old Ghost here, I'll be answering questions here for the next 10 to 15 minutes. And just as long as they're not ridiculously pathetic or trolly, I'll answer them. Whether you want to ask them in the True Capitalist Radio chat room if you're in there, or if you want to ask them on Gab, folks, my Gab account, Politics Ghost, all one word, no underscores, Politics Ghost is the name. If you've got a question that you want to ask Old Ghost, let me know. I will answer these questions for the next 15 minutes, 10 minutes, however long until I get a little tired of doing it, or whatever the case might be. Let me go ahead and take a chug of this cola here. And let's get ready to answer some questions from some individuals here. All right. Let me wait for some questions because I can already see somebody asked a question and I refuse to answer that question. All right. You should be freaking anal raped with a hot poker for that. Anyway, folks, we're going to be waiting for a couple of questions here. If we don't get any questions, then I'm out of here, baby. I'm out of here. All right? I should have got some beer tonight, but unfortunately, I'm trying to cut back on beer like I've been saying for some time now. And, all that good stuff. But I wish I had some beer. How about that? I wish I had some goddamn beer. Anyway, folks. And people ask me, Ghost, why do you always want to drink beer for? Because it makes you feel good, man. It makes you unwind. What do you think will happen to non-EU countries as it relates to the new copyright law? Well, I'll tell you what I believe will happen, okay? I believe that the non-EU countries will probably be banned from communicating with EU countries at some point. Because that's what's going to justify that. Because they can't prosecute the copyright laws on the United States or non-EU countries. They can only prosecute people in the EU, in the European Union. So if there's enough memes coming outside the EU, they're going to cut off the rest of the world from the European Union, in my opinion. That's what I'm thinking. How do you think the hurricanes affect stocks? I mentioned this earlier, folks. You might want to take a look at, Caterpillar, people that supply lumber, people that supply machines, because there's going to be a reconstruction of what happens during this Florence hurricane, and it's going to be massive. It's going to be massive, for Christ's sake. And I'm just giving you all a heads up on, what to look at for a short-term gain because, you're going to need these big-time corporations, and especially now that Trump is pro-America, he's going to give these contracts to American companies. then, it's time to look for what companies can fulfill these needs that are going to happen during the hurricane. So I hope that helps. Do you agree that the EU banning memes is part of their plan to prevent what happened in 2016 from happening again? I wouldn't say so. I think that the powers that be have evolved. They understand meme magic. I mean, a good case in point is whatever marketing company made morons on 4chan and 8chan believe that that the white Monster can of energy drink is somehow a meme for 30-year-old boomers. I mean, I gab how when people Google search for 30-year-old boomer, and how that search went up, at the same time the searching went up, Monster energy drinks stock went up. So I think that the powers that be already know about memes. It's not a big secret. I don't think that. I think that what happened in 2016 was an anomaly that the powers that be didn't understand. It's been 2 years since then. They understand it now, and they're not going to let that happen to them again, man. Here, I've got another one. What is likely to happen if Democrats somehow flip the House in November? Impeachment. That's what's going to happen. Now, whether or not it's going to happen, I don't think so. But the impeachment proceedings is meant to throw the name of Donald Trump in the mud to make him unelectable for 2020. 2020. How much do I bench press? Who cares how much I bench press? I don't care about crap like that. You know what I'm saying? People that care about crap like that are fucking trying to overcompensate for their little dicks or something, all right? I'm sorry. I don't really care about that. Now, I'm not trying to say that dudes shouldn't be working out, to maintain a certain level of health, etc. But I don't really care about bench pressing. Yeah, dude, we're 350 pounds, and you know where the weight room is, dude? No, I don't really care about that crap, all right? I mean, chicks have always been attracted to me, and I've never been that built to begin with, you know what I mean? They've been trying to pull the balls out of my pants ever since I was a young child, so it doesn't really matter to me anyway. I still get chicks, I even still get chicks as an old codger as myself just walking around out here. I got broads throwing their numbers at me, for Christ's sake, all right? So, and I don't need to be some buff idiot to do that. All right, all you got to do is be a man out here and look like you've got answers, look like you're in control, and these women, they'll drop trowel, they'll drop their panties, man. Anyway, what do you know about what the American Constitution says about intellectual property, aka copyright law? Well, obviously, copyright law and intellectual property was something that, kind of came in as the evolution of technology evolved itself. And unfortunately, the stringent laws of, I don't know about copyright, but intellectual property, it can be taken way over to the extreme. You've got patent trolls. I don't know if you've heard about these guys. These are fucking scumbag lawyers. These are scumbag lawyers that are filing patents and suing corporations that are utilizing these patents in their products. One patent in particular that I saw here recently was, you ever heard of the fucking Scotty vest? This fag, have you ever seen this shit fucking advertised, the Scotty vest? Hey, it can hold all your phone and your MP3 player, and it's wired, and a wire comes out of your goddamn collar, and it comes out of this. Anyway, he patented, okay, this guy Scotty, this fucking scumbag lawyer, he patented any shirt that has wires coming out of it, okay, believe it or not. This fucking Scotty vest asshole, this guy patented the idea of shirts having wires coming out of it, okay? And because of that, this asshole is sued everybody, from Apple to Google to everybody. And you know what they do? They just settle out of court with this idiot and make him go away. And that's what fucking Scotty vest, that's how that shit's still around. I think shit like that is ridiculous. I think intellectual property like that is fucking pathetic. Now, I'm all for protecting people's intellectual property, believe me, but I don't know what the hell. I mean, when you talk about shit like that, that makes me sick, man. That makes me so sick. Anyway, what's your favorite scotch? Man. Okay, I'm not going to say it, man, because, I mean, it's still my favorite scotch, but they're pro-refugee and all that. I don't want to. You know it. You know it. Johnny Walker, Blue Label, oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. Anyway, what else do we got here? What's my favorite movie? I don't really have a favorite movie, per se. You know, there's so many movies. I don't really have, like, a favorite movie. You know? Anyway, did you hear about the Washington Post saying that Trump is complicit for Hurricane Florence because his administration his views on climate change? Oh, Jesus Christ, man. You people in climate change, you people are a bunch of idiots. I'm not even acknowledging that. People that believe in climate change need to get a fucking life. Seriously, they need to get a fucking life and get out of mine. How about that? How about that? Jesus Christ. What is your opinion on YouTubers Barbarossa and Stardust? I don't even know these people. I don't even know those YouTubers, man. I'm not even aware of who they are. All right, sorry about that. I'm sorry. I don't know who the hell they are. I'd give you an honest opinion on it. You know what I mean? Anyway, look, stop fucking asking me about Dogecoin, all right? I don't give a shit about Dogecoin, all right? Dogecoin is the reason why legitimate investors are so iffy on getting into cryptocurrency to begin with. I mean, I'm beginning to read about Dogecoin in that Dogecoin, a complete joke, is still profiting amidst a downturn in the market, for Christ's sake. Shut up. Jesus Christ. How much did Trump fund the U.S. military for the upcoming war? Well, for the past 2 rounds of funding, he's at least, $1.5 trillion in the past 2 rounds of funding? So, and that's just been in the past, year and a half? About $1.5 trillion bucks, man. So we're ready. We're ready. We're ready for war, baby. We're ready for war. What's your favorite place to get some goddamn fried chicken? That's a tough one, man. Where's my favorite place to get fried chicken? Well, if you're talking about fried chicken, like the limbs of a chicken and, you know, like a chicken leg and a chicken wing and shit like that, I'll probably have to say, love that chicken for Popeye. You know, like the black folks, man. That's why the black folks love that shit. Love that chicken for Popeye. That's good stuff, man. I love that extra spicy chicken, man. It's great. It's mwah. The blacks know what they're talking about. But if it comes to like regular chicken, like if it's just like chicken breast or something, Chick-fil-A, baby, all right? Chick-fucking-fil-A, baby. And not only do I like Chick-fil-A, I love that they trigger the gays by staying closed on Sunday and saying that they're not going to contribute to sex change operations and stuff like that. I love Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A. I'm telling you, I love it, all right? Anyway, let me continue on here. What else do we have here? This guy likes Raising Cane's. Let me tell you something. I've tried Raising Cane's. It doesn't taste like anything. It tastes like they threw some flour on chicken, put it in a damn oil batch, and then served it to you, man. You know what I mean? I just, nah. Anyway, what do you think about people like Alex Jones being banned from all media? Well, I think I've made my views clear about what I think about Alex Jones. Okay, he's making us look like idiots. He's making us look like idiots, and to be completely honest with you, I mean, he should have been building a platform that was beyond YouTube, that was beyond Twitter. He should have been doing this on his own. He had the resources to do it. But instead, he got lazy like everybody else, and he decided, hey, I'm going to put all my videos on YouTube since I don't have to use my own bandwidth, and YouTube will pay me some money for the advertising, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to get on Twitter, and why didn't he make these types of social media outlets? Why didn't he do this? Seriously, man, why didn't he do this crap? Now that he's been banned from all this, now he's shit out of luck. And I want to be honest with you, folks, I have been banned from mainstream social media outlets years ago. I was demonetized. I've had transaction companies ban me from doing any kind of transactions with them because I am a capitalist right-wing broadcast, all right? I'm a capitalist right-wing broadcast. And did anybody give a flying fuck when I was, kicked off? No one gave a shit. Even though I was telling everybody that this was the prelude of what was ending up going to happen, that ended up happening. And no one cared when Ghost was kicked off. So, I don't really care. Hey, if Alex Jones doesn't have enough money to sustain his own operation, then that's his fucking problem. He should have not had divorces and all these childrens and marry his favorite stripper or whatever the hell he's alleged of doing. All right? I'm just saying. All right? If Alex Jones gave you credit now, would it be too late? I think, fuck yes, it'd be too late. Are you kidding me? That asshole's been ripping me off for 10 fucking years. 10 fucking years. And you're goddamn right it'll be too late. Did I ever go to college? Of course I went to college. You think I'd be fucking this smart with what, just sitting around jerking off with just a high school diploma? Of course I went to college, for Christ's sake. How do you think I know so much about politics and international relations and political theory and all that shit? And I can assure you that I'm not using my degree one fucking bit. So I'm just telling you, that's how college goes, all right? That's how college goes. Somebody's asking me, would you go all in on ZEC or LTC? If you're asking me between those, I'm going ZEC all day. ZEC is at least it's got a privacy component and it's got low circulation. Okay, LTC is nothing but an alternative to fiat. All right, that's all there is to it. All right. Anyway, man. Anyway, look, we're almost out of time. I think we are out of time here, and people are, I guess, asking no more questions here. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here, okay? I'm going to go ahead and end it here, but I want everybody to know that I will be back this Baller Friday, okay? So make sure to spread this show link around like wildfire and tell everybody throughout the internet and throughout the world. Let them all know that True Capitalist Radio is in effect and in the house, and we are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Texas Time, right here on the official website of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. And once again, I love being independent now. Type in your browser, add to your bookmarks, add to your favorites, the following, ghost.report. All right? Ghost.report. It's as simple as that, folks. And by the way, I hate to keep reiterating this, but for those of you that appreciate the content that you are listening to right now, and you want to continue to see it sustain itself, well then by all means, I strongly implore you and ask you to take a look at the cryptocurrency wishing well at ghost.report and consider throwing a few cryptocurrency into the wishing well. Not only will all your dreams come true, but you'll be supporting the broadcast tremendously, folks. I'm just letting you know, okay? And thank everybody who's been, throwing things into the True Capitalist Radio wishing well. I appreciate it, man. This is why the show continues to go on. The show continues to give straight political dope. You can tell every time that Ghost does a broadcast, he does extensive research on the information that he's providing you. That's why every time you listen to the broadcast, even if you don't believe that what I'm saying is valid, you can look it up on the internet, and every time you do, you find out that Ghost is right once again. So if you want that continued unbridled truth, the straight political dope, take a look at the cryptocurrency wishing well, and anything you throw in there will be very much appreciated. And by the way, folks, take a look at the True Capitalist Radio merch, the Ghost.Report merch, the Russian Hacker merch. I've been wearing the Russian Hacker t-shirt, believe it or not. People have been asking me, are you a Russian hacker? And I was like, do you believe that? Do you really believe in Russian hackers? Anyway, and we got Remove Kebab merch, folks. If you want to go take a look at the True Capitalist merch, go ahead and type in your browser the following, folks. Ghost.market. All right, that's all you got to type in your browser. That's it. Ghost.market. All right, take a look at all the merch that we have there, and we're going to add some more merch here in the near future, folks. So go ahead and check that out. And whatever you buy on there, not only are you going to be buying some decent threads for yourself, you'll also be supporting the show there as well. Anyway, folks, thank you all for tuning in with me. We will be back on Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I hope that you tune in with us at that particular time, all right? And I know at the beginning of the show I was talking about maybe or maybe not releasing some information on some people that are being stalkers and that used to be mods and all this other stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. We're going to see what happens Friday. But if I do something, it's only to protect myself in the midst of what's happening to in real life streamers. You've got Dr. Disrespect having his windows shot at, which I think is completely ridiculous and pathetic. And I hope whoever did that not only gets arrested, but gets anal raped while in jail. But, we got to keep each other safe. I mean, the internet is filled with a bunch of very weird, very obsessive characters. And, those that continue, I mean, look, the folks that we discussed that got kicked out of the fucking inner circle, they're still stalking, not only yours truly, but stalking people in the inner circle. So I'm just doing this out of a public service if I do it. And now that I've announced it, I can tell that these people are in bogey accounts saying, I just reported you to Discord, and Discord has got an investigation on you. You know what? Fuck you. I don't give a shit. All right? Fuck you. I don't give a shit. All right? You think it's going to be the first place I was banned? I mean, give me a fucking break. All right? I mean, you people have more to worry about because you've been fucking with people. You've not only fucked with me, you've been fucking with people in the community. So I'm sure they would appreciate finding out who the fuck you people are, because you just can't take your fucking ball and go the fuck home, can you? Well, maybe this Friday you'll fucking be taught a lesson. Maybe this Friday you'll be taught a fucking lesson, all right? And you've got nobody to blame for this but your fucking selves, just like I told you about having half black kids, half deaf kids, having 3-bedroom houses put in your name when it's just lonely-ass, despicable you, quitting your fucking job to be a cryptocurrency trader. Nobody told you to do this shit. You did it on yourselves, and that's why your goddamn ridiculous, pathetic life is going down the tubes that it's in. All right? So suck it. All right? Oh, you know what? I turn you into Discord. I don't give a shit. All right? I don't care. All right? I'll release your information regardless. All right? And I'm going to take a vote. All right, I'm going to get off here, but I'm going to take a vote in the True Capitalist Radio chat room. How many people want these folks' information? And I guarantee you it's going to be overwhelming. And you've got nobody to blame but yourselves. You could have just lived well enough alone and gone away. So anyway, with that being said, we'll see what happens on Friday, all right? We'll see what happens on Friday. I'm just saying, y'all wanted to, y'all want to go this way. I don't know. Just saying. Y'all want to do this. You know, y'all want to continue to go out here and to, hey, look at me, I'm so cool, and I want to harass ghosts, and yeah, we're going to go do this, and well, I hope it works out for you. All right, I hope it works out for you. And by the way, I mean, I wonder what, some of you folks that left, that are gainfully employed, I wonder what your fucking employers would say. All the nigger comments, the racial comments, and all the shit you've been posting. I wonder if they're going to like that. I wonder if they're going to condone that, since y'all want to be dicks. I'm sure there's people in the True Capitalist Radio chat room that could be dicks to y'all too, all right? Anyway, I'm getting the hell out of here, all right? I will be back, all right? I will be back here in the next, Friday, all right? I'll be back on Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Texas Time. And look, I don't know if I'm going to do it. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens on Friday. I don't know. But, these guys want to play games. Well, I'm just going to let everybody know who they are, just to be aware, especially if you're an in-real-life streamer. All right? I mean, seriously, us in-real-life streamers, people that like communities like this, or Dr. Disrespects, or whoever it is, you got to protect yourselves, man. You got to protect the people you appreciate the content for. You got to protect these people. And I'm not going to allow a bunch of losers who, had half black kids and half deaf kids and bought houses that they couldn't afford and made bad decisions like quitting their stupid fucking job against their parents' will to go crypto trade. And, or one guy, and I'm going to say who it is, this guy that calls himself Kush, okay? Here's a guy who is 22 years old. And he's one of the main guys, too, that are harassing as well. I know who he is. This guy's 22 years old. His dad bought him his own house in Memphis, Tennessee, because, well, he's a single father. And, for a while there, he was working under the table, getting cash only. And so he doesn't have to pay child support. He's taking care of old people, cleaning their piss pans and shit like that. And he was getting paid under the table so that he wouldn't have to pay child support. But now that he wants to be, I guess, Mr. Father or whatever he thinks he's going to be, his dad pays for a house for him, gives him $25,000 for some furniture for the house, $25,000 for the house, and yet this asshole can't even keep a job. He can't even keep a job. Why? Because why keep a job when Daddy is going to pay for a house and Daddy's going to pay for $25,000 worth of furniture, and why even give a shit? I might as well act half black like Kush actually does. He thinks he's half black, especially now that he's in Memphis. Hey, Kush, I'd love to hear how black you act now that you're out there. Hey, motherfucker, I'm out here in Memphis, Tennessee, motherfucker. I'm out here in Texas, Memphis, Tennessee, motherfucker. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I just had to say Kush because he's showing his stupid ugly head again, for Christ's sake. And I know who the hell all of you people are. I don't know why you keep fucking with me, but hey, we'll see what happens on Friday, and I guarantee you there's more than a dozen people in this fucking chat room and in the inner circle that'd love to have your information for a variety of different purposes, all right? So you wait and see, all right? Let that be on your fucking conscience, you stupid losers. I'm getting the hell out of here, all right? Anyway, be back Friday. Obviously, you've got something to look forward to on Friday to listen to. But secondly, we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. We may even open up the phone lines. Who knows? Who knows? All right? But anyway, thank you all for tuning in with me. Whether you like me, whether you hate me, just keep listening. And give me your energy, especially those that hate me. Give me all your energy. I like it. Woo! Oh, man. Oh, man, that's so great. Anyway, I'm out of here. Long live the capitalist army and death to feminism! death to socialism, and death, death, death to communism. I'm out of here. I'll be back Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, baby. And by the way, this is episode number 616. This is September 12th, 2018. And I'll be back on Friday, baby. You better be here, and you better bring everybody you know, all right? I'm out of here. Woo!